Day. A day after more than 2,000 people gathered outside the U.S. Embassy, where they chanted Black Lives Matter and held pictures of Floyd. In England, officials Friday denounced the arrest of CNN correspondent Omar Jimenez and his camera crew as they reported on the protests in Minneapolis. Michelle Bachelet, the High Commissioner for Human Rights at the United Nations, called on the United States to take serious action to end police killings of civilians, which happened nearly 1,100 times in 2019. Support for the Liberty Beat is brought to you by the Homestead Guru. The Homestead Guru is an educational website offering tips, tools, news, stories, and commentary on everything homesteading. Topics include green homes, gardening, animal husbandry, do-it-yourself, home remedies, alternative energy, survivalism, unschooling, and more. Those details are found online at thehomestead.guru. This is the Liberty Beat, powered by the SNLS Network at snlsnetwork.com. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Japan grants suffrage to female robots, and a hypochondriac maple tree is always convinced it has Asian longhorn beetles. The following two statements are true. The previous statement is false, and this is the Onion Week in Review. This week, Americans nationwide were stunned to hear horrific allegations on Wall Street revealing that numerous junior bankers have been forced to survive on a mere $6,800 per week. The findings, which implicate numerous high-profile financial institutions such as Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, and Citibank, suggest that hundreds of first-year bankers are constantly deprived of basic necessities, including penthouse apartments overlooking Central Park and regular company-financed vacations to the French Riviera.
Many of these bankers are 23 or 24 years old and don't even have access to an expense account of over $50,000 a year. Not only that, but some of them are making as little as 20 times minimum wage. I mean, this is truly disgraceful.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You're invited. If you want to join us here, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In the studio with you tonight, you've got me, Ian,
Greg,
and Mark.
Greg is back with us for night number 2. He is visiting here in New Hampshire. Longtime listeners will recognize his voice as Greg in New York.
Greg from New York.
Greg, he was in New York normally when he calls.
All right. Not in New York now.
In this case, he is in New Hampshire. And enjoying the ability to, I don't know, leave the house, right?
Absolutely. I think I picked a great time to leave the city. Really enjoying the nature up here, by the way.
Anytime's a great time to leave the city. But hey, some people like the city, and I understand it. There's a lot of stuff to do there normally, but probably not so much now, right?
Yeah, well, actually, so I was in Brooklyn, not too far from Coney Island. And let me tell you, people were out there on the boardwalk all the time.
Were they?
Even during the coronavirus.
Really? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I mean, you're allowed to get out and take a walk. Or were they social distancing?
Oh, everybody was social. In fact, 50% of people were wearing masks, which I personally was a fan of. But mostly indoors.
Not to say I have any problem with wearing masks indoors, but I mean, like outside, I think it's kind of like, you can do it if you want.
Yeah, outside. There's so much air, it's hard to infect anybody if you're distancing.
So there's a story that I've had in my show prep now for several days, and I think it's a pretty big Supreme Court ruling, so that's why I'm going to start out here with this tonight, but also on the way. Mark, you've got a controversial story out of Virginia where the governor there is planning on taking down a famous statue.
Yeah.
We'll tell you about that on the way here tonight. And Greg, I think you wanted to talk about like decentralization or some sort of aspect to that. I didn't write down the exact notes about what you had, but
I just wanted to say throughout the show that my libertarianism can boil down to sort of decentralize all the things.
So we can get deeper into that coming up here in a bit. But here's a story from NPR, because the New York Times that I originally had, of course, has a terrible firewall and or paywall, and they don't want to let you into their stuff. So NPR. The Supreme Court has rejected a California church's attempt to overturn the state's coronavirus restrictions on in-person religious services. It was a 5-4 decision, And Justice John Roberts sided with the court's liberal bloc in upholding the state's right to impose limits on congregations in order to slow the spread of COVID-19. So
I don't see it. I don't see how. I don't understand how these people could make this decision.
Well, they can do whatever they want.
They can do whatever they want, but I mean,
they have black robes, and people believe that if enough of them agree on a thing, that thing becomes the law.
So the First Amendment, Congress shall make no law.
It's not a law.
It's not Congress.
It's an order.
Right? It's right. It's a governor's order, and it's not the U.S. Congress doing it. It's state Congress.
Nor is it the state Congress.
Right.
What the state Congress or the state representatives do is they pass a law or a statute that authorizes the governors to create executive orders or emergency orders.
Right.
In this case, and it basically gives them carte blanche to do absolutely anything that they want to. That's typically how these things are written. Now, whether that law is unconstitutional, the one that authorizes the emergency orders, is an interesting question.
Well, I think it's an interesting question that in a country that was founded on religious freedom, more than anything else, this country wasn't founded on the rights of the press or free speech or the right to own a gun or anything else, or slavery or whatever it is that you might trot out that this country was founded on. This country was founded on the notion that you could have whatever religion you wanted to have, or at least, for some sort of little geographic area, and that was fine. And I'm stunned at the notion that 5 out of 9 Supreme Court justices would say that this is constitutional. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
So, according to the NPR piece, and I actually do have the order itself, the Supreme Court's ruling in this particular case. Let's see. Quote, although California guidelines place restrictions on places of worship, those restrictions appear consistent with the free exercise clause of the First Amendment, said Roberts.
So
doesn't that seem crazy? Just to even say that restrictions would be in some way consistent
with free exercise.
I want to point out he's talking about exercise of speech, but the First Amendment also has the freedom of assembly,
of religion and assembly,
yeah. And where is that in the analysis of the Supreme Court?
Good question. Roberts said in his opinion that denied a request by South Bay United Pentecostal Church for relief from the rules.
Yeah, the United Pentecostals sound like the kind that would be, all for this. I'd like everyone to bear in mind that these religions that are suing for this, freedom are not my religion.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have, and in many cases have many things fundamentally that I disagree with regarding these religions. However, I'm clear that A, they should be able to do it just in a world where, freedom of religion exists. And B, the United States Constitution is about as clear as it could be on this.
Well, apparently it's clear to you and I, but to them it's clear in a whole different way.
This country was founded on people willing to move, willing to fight, willing to separate from their government.
But that's the thing. People today are not willing to do those things. For the most part. I mean, they're mostly not willing to move. We've seen that with the libertarians who just don't seem to care enough about freedom to move to New Hampshire.
Well, religion,
part of the migration.
People are definitely more willing to move for religion than they are for political ideas.
Well, it doesn't matter because if they move somewhere for religion, they're not going to do anything about it, it seems like. Because for the most part, most of the churches did what they were told. Now, there are exceptions. There are a few folks who did actually continue to hold their services.
Those people show me that they really believe what they say.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, I see an entire lack of faith. If gathering together to form a church, because, church is a group of people, if gathering together as form a church is part of your religion, then to me, these people have far more faith than those, out there that are just like, yeah, whatever. And I'm one of those, by the way. My Quaker meeting was meeting online. But for me, I'm clear that it doesn't make a difference. But if it's part of your religion, then it's part of your religion.
Well, I think online meetings are all the rage now because people are not trying to meet in person.
Mm-hmm.
And, everything's happening online, and you could see the same exact dynamics as you could see in real life. So, for example, are people willing to leave Facebook? After all the revelations of what's going on, are they willing to leave Facebook or Twitter or anything, right?
Most of them no.
For the same reason as they're not willing to leave the comforts of the state, which is
right.
It's hard to create your own site or your own anything and make it good enough that you're happy to. And the same way, if you leave the state, you would have to have your own sewer system. Mm-hmm. your own firefighters, police, etc. And you're kind of going to replicate everything that they're doing anyway, but it's going to be yours. But not everyone's willing to do that.
Sure. And
I'd like to talk about fire extinguishers and composting toilets.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying that people have to go so far as to I'm not even talking about ending the state here, right? Like that's a common conversation we have on Free Talk Live, but I'm talking about within the state's parameters, within the rules. Like you said, Mark, it's supposed to be pretty clear. Like I don't have the First Amendment in front of me, but my recollection of it
Congress
is
shall
that
make no law, right?
Congress shall make no law restricting the establishment of religion or free exercise. Thank you of religion, freedom of speech, freedom to assemble. I mean, it's a pretty clear statement. But the problem that you've got here is people aren't, for the most part, willing to stand up for what they believe in. If religious people, by and large, were willing to do what, let's say, the Hasidic Jews did in New York City, or the folks down in Louisiana, where the pastor was arrested multiple times for continuing to go back to hold services, or the Jews in
I could read it here if you'd like. Are you ready?
Hold on. The Jews in New York City were threatened specifically by the mayor of New York City, who said that he was going to be targeting them.
That was a Hasidic sect, by the way, ultra-Orthodox.
Well, whichever they were, they were in the streets with throngs, massive numbers of people during the height of the lockdown for funerals. When certain
that's an example. That's an example of ignoring the larger state organization and following the customs of your local organization or neighborhood. Well, and that's what it looks like.
And that's what that's what I'm saying. That's what it takes. It takes action, not begging. Because when you go to the Supreme Court, you're begging.
The answer is always no.
Almost always.
Almost always no.
99 times out of 100, it's going to be a decision that's bad for freedom. And this is another one. 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free number. 855-450-3733. Because now what do? Now that you've been told, oh, nope, you can't do that, do you just, put your tail between your legs, go home and obey and do everything that you're told? That's even if it's against your religious beliefs? Or do you actually go out and honor your belief system and put something on the line for it? More coming up. It's Free Talk Live. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
This COVID-19 thing has turned the world upside down. Regardless of what you believe about it, it has changed our lives. But what's not changed is that if you own a business, you need to advertise to reach new customers or clients. Our audience is not the kind to stick their heads in the sand during a crisis. They are fully engaged and more active than ever. Special advertising packages are available to you to help you not just recover, but thrive. Email my sales manager, Matthew at freetalklive.com.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils plus a hint of menthol was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Got the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Feel free to hop into one of those, and you will sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. Tonight, it's Ian,
Greg, and Mark.
And if you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash, get on over to anypayinc.com, or better yet, just go download the AnyPay Cash Register that Greg saw for the first time in action today. We went out to a local business here in Keene that accepts cryptocurrency at their point of sale, and they use the AnyPay system. And I don't know how close of attention you were paying, Greg, but did you have any observations of how easy or difficult that it appeared?
I loved it. I don't see many people actually spending the cryptocurrency.
Right, you're
in
in New York City, the hip city, right? And nobody's over there spending cryptocurrency.
Pretty much. There was one Bitcoin ATM in Sheepshead Bay.
Yeah, those are around.
Yeah,
those are around. There's actually dozens of those in New York City. So
so there might be some people
you can getting it.
Yeah. But they're not spending it.
Right. But you can when you got AnyPay. And the AnyPay Cash Register app is free. You just go download it for your iOS or Android device and then get it set up. And if you help a local business owner get set up with AnyPay Cash Register app and let AnyPay know that you did it, so, train the local business on how to do it and help them, hold their hand through the setup process, and then tell AnyPay what you did at anypayinc.com. They get you into the AnyPay Ambassador program where you can actually get income, essentially, that is passive over time for every time somebody makes a Bitcoin Cash or Dash purchase at the business you helped get set up. So it's pretty sweet, and that is really awesome that they're doing that. anypayinc.com. So we've got the Supreme Court of the United States that has weighed in here on a request for injunctive relief, which was filed by a church in California. It has gone all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. It was the South Bay United Pentecostal Church where they were asking, and I'm not sure exactly what their injunction was that they were looking for. Presumably it was either to treat them like the other people that were being abused, but abuse them equally, or to exempt them entirely from the rules. Let me go back to the story here from NPR, because I do actually have the official release from the Supreme Court that we can take a look at. The Chula Vista-based House of Worship sued Governor Gavin Newsom, a Democrat, over an order limiting congregations to 25% capacity or 100 attendees, whichever is lower. Plaintiffs told the court their services typically attract 200 to 300 congregants. Worship services and non-essential retail were halted for more than 2 months in California, which has recorded nearly 107,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus and more than 4,000 deaths. During the lawsuit's path through lower courts, the state issued guidelines earlier this week allowing for a limited reopening, but that did not satisfy the plaintiffs, who felt the ease restrictions remained unconstitutional. And I would agree.
I have to agree that I believe they're unconstitutional.
In rejecting that challenge, Roberts wrote the Constitution.
Mind you, the whoever wrote the Constitution said that the Supreme Court has appellate jurisdiction. It's Madison and some others. Anyway, that they have appellate jurisdiction. So what we think is constitutional, what two talk show hosts sitting on here gabbing about on the internet, is irrelevant because it's those 9 people that determine which laws are acceptable and which ones aren't. That these 9 people that you don't get to vote on that are put in for life, and this is one of the things that just sort of has me like, well, I think this system's irrevocably broken.
Yes. Well, the buck stops there. I guess people can disagree in a democracy. Someone's got to, if people disagree, it goes to the Supreme Court.
Right. Until, of course, the Supreme Court changes its makeup, and then the case comes
different
back.
Opinion.
Right.
And I think it's really important to use this term opinion because they say, it's just an opinion, man, right? Until it's the Supreme Court's opinion, in which case it will be prosecuted as law until the Supreme Court gives a different opinion because different people are on.
Or until Congress makes another law.
Yep, that's true. They can give another...
Which could then be interpreted differently by the Supreme Court later.
And I'd like to read, mentioning Congress here, I think it's worth reading the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So let me ask you this. When Congress made a law that said that the governor... When the state Congress made a law that said that the governor got to decide what went on and what didn't go on during the COVID crisis.
Emergency orders. Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that mean, isn't that the prohibiting the free exercise thereof? Doesn't that fit under that part?
You would think. But here's what Roberts has to say to you on that point. Okay, he wraps up. This is actually...
Don't worry.
Here's an excerpt. This is the last paragraph from his statement, right? So they've got basically 2-page long the assenting and dissenting opinions. So this is from his assenting opinion. He says, that is true here as a party seeks emergency relief in an interlocutory posture while local officials are actively shaping their response to changing facts on the ground. The notion that it is, quote, indisputably clear, unquote, that the government's limitations are unconstitutional seems quite improbable. So he's saying it is improbable that it is indisputably clear. So he's saying, no, it's not indisputably clear. He's saying in further that the government can do the things that it's doing.
It is disputably clear.
Right. I mean, Congress shall make no law prohibiting the free expression of religion seems indisputably clear to me, Justice Roberts.
Roberts rejects their challenge. Quote from NPR says, Roberts wrote that the Constitution generally grants broad leeway to state leaders in circumstances of medical uncertainty.
But the Constitution grants even broader leeway to people for the expression of their freedom.
That's why it's the First Amendment.
It's supposed to be a limit on the government. Yep. It doesn't grant crap, okay? Like, we know what grants the power to the state. It's a gun. Mm-hmm. It's not the Constitution. It's not a piece of paper. The United States Constitution and the state constitutions do not grant power to their respective governments. They are limits on the power of their respective governments because government power comes from the ability to shoot your kid in the face.
Right, and let's be clear. That's why so many churches are so obedient, because they don't want men with guns coming into their house of worship and arresting them and their pastor.
History of the church is anything but obedient.
I agree with you.
Meaning that the churches of the United States apparently are ahistorically cowardly.
Yes, that's correct. And everyone else for that matter.
The crazy lunatics that went out and sat in pews during this COVID thing were the true heirs of real Christianity. And I don't know what else to say to everybody.
Well, not even Christianity. Again, it was the Hasidic Jews out in New York City. It was other religions as well. So you had some...
And Muslims, probably.
I didn't hear any stories about the Muslims, but it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me.
Probably in Ramadan. They were probably out doing...
Together with family and things like that.
I imagine they didn't do anything to the Muslims. That'd be a counter to the liberal ethos. Church is what was mentioned, and that's why I mentioned churches.
Yeah. The story here continues. The court's reliably conservative justices dissented. Kavanaugh was one of them. He says the guidelines violate the First Amendment because they, quote, discriminate against places of worship and in favor of comparable secular businesses. So even in the dissent, you're not seeing any kind of principled statement that, no, this is freedom of religion and you should be able to do what you want. It's your church. You should be free to make these choices. No, he's saying, well, we should treat everybody the same, which is to say that he says if you want to put restrictions down, they just have to be the same restrictions across all categories. The toll-free number, so there's no freedom viewpoint here. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And you won't have freedom unless you're willing to stand up for it. And most people aren't. So here we are in a police state. You can bring up whatever's on your mind and share your thoughts, whether it's on freedom of religion, the COVID crackdown, or a statue being targeted. We'll tell you about that coming up.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
The next generation wallet is coming from Divvy. In just a few taps, you'll be able to send, earn, spend, and exchange digital money in seconds. Send money around the globe with only a swipe. Instantly exchange between Divvy, Bitcoin, and fiat right in the mobile app and withdraw directly to your bank account. Divvy already offers the first one-tap solution for earning passive income with crypto. Multi-tiered masternodes allow everyone to partake in the network. Visit DivvyProject.org. DivvyProject.org.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. Local.bitcoin.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Live video of our Keene, New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited if you want to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The Next Generation Wallet is coming from Divvy. In just a few taps, you'll be able to spend, earn, store, and exchange digital money in seconds. Divvy says you'll be able to send money around the globe in only a swipe and instantly exchange between Divvy, Bitcoin, and fiat currencies like the dollar in the mobile app and withdraw directly to your bank account. There's no need to wait, though, as Divvy already offers the first one-tap solution for earning passive income with their multi-tiered masternodes, allowing anyone to earn by supporting the Divvy network. When the new Divvy wallet launches, because of their relationship with Western Union, Divvy will be in 200 countries, including the United States. You can learn more at DivvyProject.org. That's DIVI project.org. Whether you want to talk about the freedom of religion or the essentially gutting of that freedom of religion that has gone on here with the Supreme Court ruling 5-4 against a church that was looking for an injunction against the California government to allow them to reopen like a free church would do. But the Supreme Court said, no, you're not a free church. No one's free here. We're going to tell you what to do. And as long as people go along with being told what to do, then more people will, more government goons will tell them what to do.
I look forward to the day when kids stop playing cops and robbers and start playing looters and arsonists.
No, you don't.
No, I don't.
All right. So, Mark, you had another story. This one is coming out of Virginia, where there's been a lot of controversy over a governor there who is a Democrat. They, right before the whole COVID thing really kind of started to flame up, there was that news about Virginia. They had massive protests. 20,000 plus people were at the state capitol to protest this governor's decision and interest in going forward with gun control laws there in Virginia. Mm-hmm. So that was the last time we were talking about Virginia, was right before COVID. Now this governor's back in the news.
Yeah, this Ralph Northam fella is apparently just trying to make sure the Virginians really do regret having voted Democratic in the last election.
Okay.
Just my guess. But here we go. Ralph Northam is expected to announce plans Thursday. That's tomorrow.
That's today.
Today, yep. To remove one of the country's most iconic monuments to the Confederacy, a statue of General Robert E. Lee along Richmond's prominent Monument Avenue, a senior administration official told the Associated Press. Now, I can't speak for Virginians. I am not a Virginian. I was born in the South, and I kind of get some of all of this. What I would say is I would imagine Virginians, more than any Southerners, would probably have some reverence for Robert E. Lee because of what he meant in U.S. history and, in fact, in Confederate history also.
I don't have any reverence for people that were murderers, and all the folks in the militaries were definitely involved in killing other human beings.
Robert E. Lee certainly presided over the killing of a lot of Americans.
I say take all those statues down. Take the Union. Take the Union statues down. Take the Confederate statues down. Take them all down.
It's an interesting situation, and it's a touchy subject. But think about it. The Union beat the Confederacy, but the statues are up there. A lot of the statues, by the way, are by an organization called Daughters of Liberty, which popularized the idea of
Daughters of the Confederacy?
Daughters, I believe, of Liberty. It could be Confederacy.
Okay.
But what I want to say is that this idea, a lot of our concepts like Thanksgiving was started by a guy in the 19th century and so on. These are things that the word okay, it was started by a newspaper in Boston.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. A lot of the things that we come to like and enjoy are things that have come about in the last 100 years, 150 years. And so, but it's interesting that they can have their statues. What other country sort of beats the other guys? And then it's like, no problem, have your enemy general statues fully displayed. I think that's amazing that,
It's amazing that it exists. I will give you that. I think it largely because the idea was that they didn't want the South to feel too beaten.
Okay.
And, that has better and worse, and people could talk about the history of it and that kind of thing. And Ian, I'm with you. These are
take them all down.
These are statues of military people, and what are we teaching our kids with this kind of reference? How many statues are of people who have?
It teaches them that wars are more important. That the people who were in charge of or leading the fronts on those wars are somehow honorable or deserve to be.
This is honoring the state. This
Yes,
is
that's
in
what
fact
it is.
people dying, and by the way, leftists
It's honoring the deaths.
as well.
Yeah, right.
Are against this. You know, the socialists. In fact, the socialist revolution in Russia and everywhere that it took place was like, turn your guns on your own, capitalist masters who are making you kill each other, right? Meaning, why are you fighting for these people? You're killing people just like yourself on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And so venerating those people, and by the way, the same types of things happen in other countries. I'll give you one example. These figures are controversial. In the Ukraine, there's a guy named Stepan Bandera who is very, respected as well because he fought against not just the Nazis, but he fought against the Russians for Ukrainian independence. Now, again, similar situation. The Confederacy fought for independence from the Union.
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine fought for independence, say, against the Soviet Union. But Stepan Bandera is also associated with attacks on Jews by Ukrainians at that time. Okay, so he's a controversial
So he was just
figure.
as bad as the people he was opposing.
Well, sure. I mean, I believe Kurds were attacking Armenians, but now Kurds are trying to be separated from Turkish rule. There's all this going on around the world. And on one hand, you're trying to separate, but on the other hand, you're being oppressive to some other group.
There
that's
are
smaller
no
than you.
perfect people, and that's one of the issues with statues generally, right? Like,
sure.
When you look at Robert E. Lee and you look at, say, Ulysses S. Grant, his counterpart, one might make the argument that Grant was a better warrior for his day. Lee represented much more sort of patriarchal system than Grant did, but they both owned slaves.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you can look at this and say, here's the guy who freed the slaves and here's the guy who didn't. And matter of fact, you can't look at Lincoln either. You can't put up a statue of Lincoln and say somehow this honor, because, if you read his second inaugural speech, it'll be abundantly clear that if he had to keep everybody enslaved in order to save the Union, he would have done that.
He said he would. He said
that.
Yeah.
But if you go even further back, forget the Civil War. Think of Christopher Columbus. A lot of these stories, we have the whitewashed sort of
the elementary school
version of it. Yeah, he discovered America, maybe, but that's disputable.
Yeah.
But he landed on an island which was named Hispaniola by him or other governors later. And
Did he slaughter everybody?
All those governors and he were pretty brutal. Yes, they would slaughter for gold. They would take slaves. They would take children and, write in their journals how great it would be to take them as slaves. So, yeah.
Don't hold this guy up.
We have statues. We have Columbus Circle in New York City with a giant statue of Columbus. So,
and nobody
what about
bats
that
an
guy?
eye at that.
What about that guy?
There may be some people who are concerned about that, but nowhere near as many are concerned about Christopher Columbus as are concerned about.
Well, don't worry,
Southern
they've turned on Columbus too. The Columbus Day is supposed to be Native American
Day. But I think the point that you make, Mark, that humans aren't perfect is an important thing to remind people of.
Right.
Like, even if you try to look at people that weren't involved in war, which statues tend to go towards people that are
not
involved
always
in war, but there's exceptions.
When I go to Central Park, sometimes in New York City, I'll see some statues, just some guys in some suits. Sometimes it'll be politicians, say at the state capitol or something like that, and
But even every now and then, there's somebody that touches a lot of lives in a positive way, but then later you find out that, Bill Cosby, of course, comes to mind.
Yeah,
right?
Bill Cosby would have been held up a decade ago as archetypical American.
And a successful black man. And,
sure. And he was. And he was one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid.
Children loved him. He hosted picture pages, which I grew up with. On
I was
Nickelodeon.
thinking, look at how the state is being used by it's not just the state is being used by socialists, or it could be used by capitalists. It could be used by slave owners. The Runaway Slave Act was enforced by states.
That's right.
The Dred Scott decision was in the Supreme Court. So
that's where the police came from, right? The runaway slaves.
And then the Missouri the compromise of the 3/5 compromise with the slaves, that's all states. So states can be used by capitalists. They could be used by slave owners. They could be used by anybody.
The toll-free number here tonight.
They're certainly authoritarian.
855-450-FREE. So, I'm just generally against statues, period. But if you want to have your own statue that you pay for and you put up on your own private land, by all means, you should have whatever you want. 855-450-FREE. But take down the public statues. Your thoughts? You're welcome to join us here. It's Free Talk Live.
Houseflies defecate every 4 to 5 minutes, spreading diseases and germs. Protect your food and your health with Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun. which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic, no batteries required, only $39.95. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at Bugasalt.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bugasalt today.
This is a Corona Crisis Self-Reliance Alert. If you're worried about the power grid in the current crisis and want to generate your own supply of off-the-grid electrical power, just in case, pay close attention. Here's why. A limited supply of solar backup generators will be available again in the next 2 weeks. These emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical backup power when you get off the grid. And unlike gas generators, these solar generators run quietly, emit no fumes, and produce an endless supply of free electricity from the sun. Dangerous weather, social unrest, or overloaded grids this summer will not be a problem if you go to mysolarbackup.com and get your solar backup generator. We regret that supplies are limited and only available on a first-come, first-served basis. Check availability at mysolarbackup.com. Never suffer painful power outages again. Go to mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com.
Are you afraid to go to the mailbox because of letter after letter from the IRS? Are they stacking on more and more penalties and interest? By now, you know the problem won't go away on its own. Don't let the IRS chase you to your grave with penalties and interest and liens and levies. You need real help now. I'm Dan Pilla. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I help thousands of people solve tax problems they thought couldn't be solved. I can help you too. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com. danpilla.com.
If you're David, a few well-chosen words can help level the playing field with Goliath. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. Recently, I saw a Yellow Pages ad for an appliance repair company, and the headline read, "Why wait for Sears?" If you're going to the Yellow Pages, the Dead Sea Scrolls of advertising, you're ready to buy right now. So this is an attention-grabbing message. And how about the plumber whose radio ad says, "Call by noon Thursday, and we'll be there Saturday at no extra cost"? Smart guy. Most plumbing firms give their crew the weekend off. This one gives them Sunday and Monday off. In the words of a respected advertising executive, cut to the chase, make it quick, and tell me exactly what you can do for me, especially if you're looking for work. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live, inviting you. If you want to join us, toll-free number here is available. And also our Discord. The number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. And we have the Discord call-in line rooms at discord.lrn.fm. You can hop into one of those rooms. You'll sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us tonight. That's Ian,
Gregorio,
and Mark.
And we're going to go to your phone calls and thoughts. But coming up, Mark, you are going to talk about this. Well, I guess we kind of got through most of the Robert E. Lee statutes, but maybe there's a little bit more to say about it.
I'm not even sure that we really got into it, but we kind of laid out sort of our opinion on it all.
Right. Yeah. If there is more worth sharing, you're welcome to do that.
I probably can flesh out my opinion a bit more. Yeah.
So yeah, mine is that the statues should be taken down. Not just the Confederate, but also the Union War statues. Any of these war statues ought to be taken down. And if you want to preserve it, then it should be given to the highest bidder, and they can go put it on their own private property. So, if the boys of the South or whoever it is, they want to have their Robert E. Lee statue.
That's kind of what Monument Avenue is in Virginia. They've got lots of statues there.
I'm talking about on private property.
I understand. Okay. I don't believe in public property generally, but my statement would be this. It's a little more nuanced than yours. Is if you're going to take down the Confederate statues, you should take down all the war statues.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
And I'm going to say it's a little different. That's a different statement. That's if you're going to take down one, you should take down all. As opposed, if you're not going to take down one, then you should not. If you're not going to take down all,
I'm
you
saying
should not
take them all down. Period.
Right. I'm not saying that.
You guys are saying the same thing because most of these statues, Julius Caesar, Louis XIV, I don't know, Charlemagne, whatever, are probably gonna. They probably killed quite a few people in their time. Yeah. So you're venerating a killer probably either way.
Yeah. And I would say take down any public statues. Period. If they got one of Bill Cosby, take that down too.
You mean put it on? Well, for one, the government shouldn't be paying for statues to venerate.
That's true. But even if it were privately donated,
yes,
it should
that
not
happens
be
a lot.
Yeah, it should not be there. If it's so-called public property, government-owned property.
The government wants to beautify property. What about sculptures of weird things?
Well, then sell the park. Let private owners or community group or whoever it is that wants to take over the park take it over. If they want to put a statue there, then now it's their park. They can put a statue there.
And if somebody wants to vandalize that statue, then they can deal with the problems.
That's right. Exactly. Taxpayers shouldn't have to be burdened by that.
You think they should be able to shoot somebody who's vandalizing their statue?
No.
I think they vandalized the Lincoln Memorial the other day.
Who?
Protesters.
All right. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Because I don't care about what.
Arsonists
if it's government
and looters,
property,
yay!
I don't. No. If it's government property, I don't care because you own that, right? They say that you're the government, so you're just improving it. If you disagree that it's an improvement, then that's your opinion.
I'm just going to say probably less people are hurt by that because you can always paint it back white. Yeah, versus like a small business owner.
Right. Destroying somebody's business or setting something on fire that doesn't belong to you.
Or beating a store owner with a 2x4. It's not like everything hasn't happened. Killing a guy who's keeping watch over a pawn shop. I would certainly say, I'll take the shots at the statues, but I have nothing to say nice about vandals and.
No, I don't appreciate vandals generally, but I'm not going to care if somebody vandalizes government buildings. It doesn't matter to me. We got more coming up here. Robbie is on the line in North Carolina. You're on Free Talk Live, watching on twitch.lrn.fm. Go ahead, Robbie. Hello?
Boy,
Hello?
I'm on the phone!
We know you're on the phone. Are you also on a boat?
Your computer.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, that was quick.
Was that kind of like the I'm on a boat song?
I'm on a boat!
Was that what that was a riff on?
I don't know.
I don't know either. So here's another story. Mark, did you have more from the story that you thought was worth sharing about this?
Sure. The move would be an extraordinary victory for civil rights activists whose call for the removal of the monument and others in this former capital of the Confederacy have been resisted for years. That is a symbol for so many people, black and otherwise, of a time gone by of hate and oppression and of being made to feel less than, said Del J.
Which is typical
Jones.
when you're dealing with government that takes a side like this, right? They've taken a side by putting that particular statue up. It's inevitable that some people are going to be upset about that.
That's the other problem is that you got large organizations and you have governments and you have Facebook, for example. Mark Zuckerberg has to take a side. Do you take down the post? Do you not take down the post? It's like always going to be one size fits all. And that's another problem. If we have just large organizations, it can only be one side that wins every time.
Right. And in this case, unlike Facebook, where it's just a post on somebody's page somewhere on the internet or on this massive website, this is a center location. This is a visible thing that everybody in the geographic area has likely seen at some time or another and maybe even has a strong opinion about. So you're going to set way more people off when you make a decision about this.
Trump's tweet is probably seen by way more people every day.
Fair enough. That's
so I guess I have a question regarding your thoughts here. I mean, it's pretty obvious this was the seat of the Confederacy, right? This was their capital, and this city makes a lot of money from people who come to, for whatever reason, figure out more about the Confederacy. If you want to find out about the United States, you go to Washington, D.C. You want to find out about the Confederacy, you go to Richmond.
Okay.
Right? And so the people of Richmond, to some extent, benefit from this. And that includes Del, whatever his name is here. So, I mean, we have to acknowledge that is a truth. Today in England...
Well, they can still have all the museums that they already have.
I got you.
And like I
what
said,
you're saying, private property. And
the
museums can have these things.
And where's this thing going to go?
It
right?
could
So
go
that's
to...
the important question
The governor
here.
could just decide he could break it into little pieces or do whatever.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The appropriate thing to do would be to put this up to the bid. Right?
I agree.
Say, hey, okay, we're going to get rid of the statue, but it's a thing. We can either melt it, toss it in the dump, or we can sell it. Let's sell it. Why not sell it? You can put the money towards whatever park improvements or...
And I've heard even conservatives like Ben Shapiro, who's partly libertarian in his mind, he says, yeah, I could see the point that why do black people with their taxes have to support a statue of either Robert E. Lee, who wasn't the worst probably compared to other people.
You know, they got to support the police that are oppressing them, as we all do, and now you've got a statue that's lording over you.
Well, in this case, the statue actually benefits all the taxpayers of Richmond, including the black taxpayers of Richmond.
How does a statue do that?
Because what it does...
attracts a tourist, I guess.
Right. It attracts a tourist.
How many times? You know, you've traveled with your family to different places. How many times have you been like, all right, we're going to go to City A over City B because City A has that statue that we really want to go.
Well, we got the Statue
of
of Liberty. I just want to say that.
You're right. I mean, I think City
NY
might have some dispute for you, but there was a Andrew Jackson statue that we specifically visited in New Orleans as a result. So
that was the deciding factor as to whether or not you went to New Orleans?
It wasn't the deciding factor, but it was certainly one of our stops on the trip through New Orleans. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you know, there you go. And the Statue of Liberty, by the way, absolutely blows your little question apart. And I'd like to point out, let's talk about the Queen of England for a second. So
I was talking about normal statues, but you're right. That is a good example.
It is a good
Statue
example.
of Liberty.
The Queen of England.
And one of the few non-war statues, by the way.
True.
Yeah.
Give us your tired, the hungry, and the
actually
poor.
a statue based on peace.
Your huddled masses yearning to be free.
Yeah, that's a great poem.
It is, and New York deserves all the visitors, and presumably those
Didn't they shut it down to visitors?
Well, sort of. I mean, you can see. You
just
can
don't
look
give
at
them
it.
to me if they have COVID-19.
You can go into the pedestal, but not into the statue itself. You can pay extra to go up into the statue, whatever the case may be. It's not closed to visitors. It is closed to the general public.
Gotcha.
But the Queen of England represents an organization that has for a very long time done bad things to the Irish and the Scottish. Now, here I am, Irish and Scottish, and should I be in some way upset about all the more than 1 million people that go every single year to London to spend money that reduce, presumably, the tax burden on the Londoners by, paying money and, doing all these sorts of things? Am I supposed to be upset about this organization that continues to exist? Because I'm not. I think that the Queen of England is a tourist attraction, and that's basically it.
Well, that's kind of the sort of the question of democracy and what people think versus like profits. So in Michigan, or let's say in Flint, Michigan, where the water was poisoned,
is presumably,
yeah. Like maybe there's more profits in dumping things in the water, like short-term profits, but public health is affected. So the question is, whose voice is being heard? Is it the citizens of the city, or is it?
Well, there's plenty of people in Richmond that want to see this statue stay. I can assure you.
Sure.
And it's.
I say they should bid on it.
There's one freaking voice that's being heard, and that's the governor's. End of story.
Well, I'm sure there are people in Richmond who are regularly talking about this issue. This is probably all over talk radio. In fact, if we were actually good talk show hosts, we would have thought, oh, this is Richmond. We're on the air in Richmond, so we should wait until 8 o'clock when we're actually on the air in Richmond to talk about this. The toll-free number is 855, which is coming up in a few moments. 855-450-FREE like freedom. So we'll recap briefly and ask for any of our Richmond listeners to weigh in here. But I think that the right solution is for them to put it up to bid. Let all those people who care so much about it bid out whoever, because there's going to be people who bid on it who want to melt the thing down, right? So
this way you can have it both ways.
Right, it'd be interesting. More coming up.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with the SNLS Network and listeners like you. Online at snlsnetwork.com. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,740, silver at $18.77, and Bitcoin is trading at $10,060. Today's gold, silver, and Bitcoin prices are brought to you by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven. The Liberty Beat and Brave Botanicals believe so strongly in the power of kratom, we're giving it away for free. Just go to libertybeat.news/free kratom. This is the Liberty Beat at snlsnetwork.com. In the news, the Kentucky National Guard fired live ammunition at a crowd while enforcing the recently imposed curfew in the very early hours of Monday morning, leaving at least one person dead. The Mind Unleashed reports the incident took place just after midnight, according to Louisville Metro Police Chief Steve Conrad, who said that the city's police were sent to a parking lot to break up a crowd along with the National Guard. The police and the National Guard claim they were shot at during the altercation, but they have given no proof to support those claims. Meanwhile, amid racial unrest across the nation, President Trump on Monday declared himself the president of law and order and threatened to deploy the United States military to American cities to quell a rise of violent protests. Earlier, he spoke to governors on a video teleconference with law enforcement and national security officials, telling the state leaders they have to get much tougher, criticizing their responses. Ever wonder where we find all the news to report right here on the Liberty Beat? Visit snls.news to get the world's most censored media published all in one place. Save yourself from the endless time spent searching for reliable alternative media. SNLS News makes it quick and easy. No ads, no clickbait. Just raw headlines, 24 hours a day. Visit snls.news and get informed today without the corporate media spin. Your news now continues. George Floyd, who died after being choked by Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin last Monday, succumbed to asphyxiation as a result of Chauvin's actions. That's according to an independent autopsy ordered by his family. The Free Thought Project reports the findings of the autopsy carried out by medical examiners Dr. Michael Baden and Dr. Alicia Wilson, differ from those of the Hennepin County, Minnesota medical examiner, who examined Floyd's body before Chauvin was charged with murder on Friday. Floyd's apparent murder shocked the nation, with a video showing the last agonizing 8 minutes of his life, triggering protests and riots across the U.S. Nearly a week later, the protests have escalated into full-blown anarchy, looting, and arson. People in a number of international cities violated bans on large gatherings over the weekend to show solidarity with protests against police brutality that have exploded in at least 140 cities across the United States. The Free Thought Project reports political leaders overseas condemn the killing of George Floyd, who died after now former Minneapolis officer Derek Chauvin pressed his knee into Floyd's neck for over 8 minutes, while the man was unarmed and handcuffed, and his onlookers pleaded with Chauvin to stop. An estimated 1,500 people in Berlin marched Sunday, a day after more than 2,000 people gathered outside the U.S. Embassy, where they chanted Black Lives Matter and held pictures of Floyd. In England, officials Friday denounced the arrest of CNN correspondent Omar Jimenez and his camera crew as they reported on the protests in Minneapolis. Michelle Bachelet, the High Commissioner for Human Rights at the United Nations, called on the United States to take serious action to end police killings of civilians, which happened nearly 1,100 times in 2019. Support for the Liberty Beat is brought to you by the Homestead Guru. The Homestead Guru is an educational website offering tips, tools, news, stories, and commentary on everything homesteading. Topics include green homes, gardening, animal husbandry, do-it-yourself, home remedies, alternative energy, survivalism, unschooling, and more. Those details are found online at thehomestead.guru. This is the Liberty Beat, powered by the SNLS Network at snlsnetwork.com. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Republicans back a plan for universal lawn care, and an RC car works up the courage to approach a group of girls. And now a recap of the week's news for those who like to waste their summers surfing the internet. Fall, the long-running series of shorter days and cooler nights, was canceled this week after nearly 3 billion seasons on Earth. The classic period of the year, which once occupied the coveted slot between summer and winter, will be replaced by new stifling humidity levels and near-constant sunshine. A shiny, bobbing object in the water is generating fascination among members of the fish community, who have described it as pleasingly wiggly and minnow-esque. Aquatic experts say that decisive action must be taken against the object very soon. In local news, just when 27-year-old Andrew Sheets didn't think his vacation could get any better, a rerun of Spin City came on. And in other headlines, a bee stuck between the screen and front door is going nuts. And a water skier lets go of the crossbar to greet those not currently water skiing.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. We are launching into the second hour of the program. You can dial in toll-free, bring up whatever you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE. With you tonight, you've got Ian,
Greg,
and Mark.
855-450-3733. If you want to comment on the apparently pending removal of the Robert E. Lee statue, is that what it was?
Yes.
Statue in Richmond, Virginia, where, by the way, we are on the air weeknights. We're on from 8 o'clock, I believe, till, is it 10? I'll have to double check that. But we are on in Richmond, Virginia, on our affiliate there, WNTW, on both the AM and the FM band. So, yeah, Monday through Friday, they're with us for the 8 to 9 hour. And so if you want to join the conversation, especially if you're in the heart of Richmond where this is going down, you want to weigh in, you're welcome to do so. Just to bring you up to speed, as I said, I'm just against all the war statues. So go ahead, take down these statues, but also go ahead and take down the Union war statues as well, because I don't want to see these people worshipped at all. What a dark time in American history.
Well, I think it's pretty common for people to revere
that
warriors.
crap needs to stop.
But you understand that the reason that Robert E. Lee's being taken down off of Monument Avenue isn't because
it's political.
Well, it's political because the Democrats are trying to get the black folks over to their side and these kind of things.
Well, they pretty much already have a good chunk of.
I just find it sad that the people who would be protesting the Columbus statues are dead. So there's no one around to. The island of Hispaniola does not have any more residents.
You know that a Gandhi statue was taken down in 2018 in Ghana.
Oh, is that right?
Because Gandhi had some attitudes that would have been considered racist.
Yes, that's what I've heard about him. He was not a perfect person.
I wouldn't claim to. He's perfect, but it's not a war statue.
Right. I'm just
so what
generally
do you think about
statues.
taking down a statue? Because
if it's on public land, it should be taken down.
Okay.
Sell it to the highest bidder.
I think
take the money and put it into the Parks Department.
A pretty good idea is to sell it to the highest bidder, right? So they've got it now. I would have one caveat: if the statue was paid for by some organization,
they should have it back.
They should just get it back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if it was the Daughters of the Confederacy that put it up, then here's your statue back. We're not putting any more statues at all.
Right.
Period on public land. That's a fine compromise, Ian, and I'm willing to go for it.
Okay.
But my statement is if you aren't going to take down all the war statues, don't take down one of them.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. If you want to weigh in, you can.
Because nobody's perfect, including apparently Gandhi. Just not good enough. Gandhi's not good enough for a statue. I get it. With Robert E. Lee, I can see it. But, here's the guy that's held up next to Jesus, often mentioned in the same sentence as Jesus, and he had to come down.
I'll say one last thing about this. If you're against statues, right, and you want them taken down, can you at least number them like number 1, most egregious, number 2? And so if this statue is number 98, can you at least protest the other 97 first?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously there are some statues that I find less personally distasteful. But
most of mine start with Stalin.
Yeah. Sure. The killers. The people who had other people kill for them. So we'll go to your calls and thoughts here. Cruel Philosopher is on the line. He's on our Discord server. Go ahead, Cruel Philosopher.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Hey, where are you calling from tonight?
So I'm calling from Bronx, New York.
Oh, all right. Welcome.
Yes, thanks. So with the statue discussion, statue.
Shoot.
Uh-oh. Hold on, we're losing you.
We're losing some packets.
I'm going to put you on hold here for just a moment. We're going to come back to you in just a bit. I don't know if you want to check your computer. Sometimes what happens is somebody might have an upload going, like you just started a torrent or something like that. And
right, he's got to get that final episode of Tiger King in, right?
Right. So if there's something going on that might be consuming some upstream bandwidth, that can affect that. So we'll come back to Cruel Philosopher here in just a moment. Let's go to Bad Slave in the meantime. Also on Discord. Go ahead, Bad Slave.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
It's my considered opinion that that Lincoln owns the Civil War. Okay, that basically, he pushed the South, who had every right to separate from the North as a free people ought to be. Not that
many people in the South weren't free.
Was the right thing. What?
Many of the people in the South,
slaves weren't free,
were not free.
Obviously,
okay. Yeah.
But it was agreed by both the North and the South that slavery could exist, and I disagree. Okay, vehemently with slavery in general, but the fact is that the North and the South agreed that slavery could exist, and so basically the North. Leveled friggin' the South and was engaged in killing probably about 700,000 Americans. Still the highest body count of
hopefully it always will be.
American war.
Hopefully it will. I find it fascinating that people make fun of the USSR for falling apart right in the 90s. But in fact, its constitution allowed the republics to secede from the Union, and then they became their own countries. And similarly, the Brexit is because the EU allows for such a thing to happen. Mm-hmm. I think ever since Texas and the Alamo, I think there is no right of secession. I think no state is able to secede without bloodshed.
Functionally, there is no right of secession, and be interesting to see what would happen if a state attempted to secede.
It's time
for the right reasons, as
It's
opposed
time.
to what happened.
California wants to.
Let's do it now. I hope we can beat California to it, but I hope somebody can do it. Bad Slave, other thoughts? Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to also say that, you don't have to tear down any of these memorials. All you've got to do is post on each of them, the crimes they can attribute to those people.
So you're
I
saying,
like that,
You're
actually.
saying add to the statue like a plaque of all the horrors,
Like they add to the tweets that this is not
fact check
caveats.
Statue check. Hey, thanks, Bad Slave, for the call tonight. I definitely appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. So we're going to try Cruel Philosopher again here, and we're going to see if we have some better luck. Cruel Philosopher calling from the Bronx. You're back on.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
So far. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so I agree with your overall position on statues. It's kind of a weird thing that we do in culture. But I wanted to ask you, are there any statues you would be okay with? Like, sports, or are you just against them as a principle?
Well, like I said, I'm against the government statues, meaning, if a sports stadium that's privately funded, which almost doesn't exist out there, but if there's like a private sports stadium and they want to put a Babe Ruth statue up or something like that, whatever, man, that's cool.
Babe Ruth never killed anybody.
Right. So whatever.
I would go so far as to say any private organization that wants to make a statue of pretty much anybody they want to make a statue of, that's their business. Now, you put a statue of Stalin outside your business, and A, it's going to cost you business, and B, somebody's going to come along and deface it at some point or another. So you can spend a lot of time working on that statue, or Hitler, or you pick your bad guy, Genghis Khan, for God's sakes. I mean, people are going to deface that thing. And so I think that should be the private property owner that has to deal with that particular issue rather than the public.
They'd be defacing their own great-great-great-great-grandfather or whatever.
What do you mean?
Didn't Genghis Khan sire a ton of children, basically?
Yes, most of
Isn't he in the bloodline?
Almost every male Asian is related to Genghis Khan, which then wouldn't that make every female Asian? Look, I don't know how this all works, but I suspect I'm on that list. I know there's one rapey Mongol in my past.
What about you, Cruel Philosopher? Is there like a particular statue that kind of you're into?
I think mainly statues are kind of weird.
Yeah,
I think human beings have like this need to worship. I think that it also explains all of the religions that we have. So I think
right, to raise somebody, whether it's worshipful or not, but to just simply raise another human being above the level. Oh, well, this human being is so special.
That's what government does.
Yeah. Cruel Philosopher, I feel like you might have more comments. If you do, stand by. We can come back to you here in just a moment. 855-450-FREE. You can bring up whatever is on your mind. If you're in Richmond, you want to weigh in, or anywhere in the world, you can call in, especially on our Discord server. And like it is now, it sounds pretty darn good most of the time over at discord.lrn.fm. This is Free Talk Live.
Did you know you can support freedom of speech by just visiting shop.freetalklive.com? You'll see links to Walmart, Omaha Steaks, Newegg, and more. Every day, Free Talk Live is at the forefront of the liberty movement as the biggest liberty-oriented talk show in the world, giving you a platform to be heard on any topic. Get listener-only specials without doing anything other than an extra click. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. Use the links and buy what you'd be buying anyway. Take action now. Save and support freedom. Visit shop.freetalklive.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
My dog Mojo was half beagle and half coonhound. He ate everything in sight. He would swallow things whole, including a chicken carcass, a bird nest with a bird in it, and assorted stones and sticks. We had to take him to the veterinary emergency room. After surgery, Mojo had skin issues. He was constantly itching and scratching, chewing on his feet and chewing the hair right off of his legs, being irritated, lethargic, and just not the same dog.
DINOVITE.com.
When we put him on the Dinovite, he took right to it. All of these symptoms disappeared.
Dinovite is nutrition.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
Something that he actually likes to eat. You need to put him on Dinovite.
Dinovite for life.
If you love your dog, you don't just want him healthy, you want him to be happy.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Free Talk Live.
So you're just not a fan of the gays then?
Well, I would call it a perversion. I think it's one step towards bestiality.
I think Rich was locked up with a guy who was actually having sex with his dog.
That's right, the dog effer.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, dogs are property, and I have sex with property all the time, right? So like I want to get your opinion on this, right? So if homosexuality is one step towards bestiality, and then I mean where does it stop? We're just I frequently have sex with a rubber vagina, right, that I bought on eBay, and I wonder if you think that is also like bad.
Where's that on the spectrum?
I would call that a perversion too, as well.
Okay, so I'm going to go to hell then.
So,
I wouldn't go that far.
Am I responsible for the degradation of human society in America, sir?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom, as the Richmond, Virginia governor, or not governor, but is it the governor or is it the city council?
Governor.
Who's doing this? Apparently, it is the governor who is removing a Civil War statue of General Robert E. Lee, or at least it's expected to happen at some point. They don't have a date. We're not sure what's going to happen to the statue after the fact. I suggest that all war statues and any statues on government property be removed and sold to the highest bidder, and then let private property owners put whatever statue they want up on their own private property that they pay for, that they pay to maintain, and not have taxpayers shouldering the burdens. By the way, I do want you to know about shop.freetalklive.com, where you can get links to Walmart, Newegg, and other online shopping venues that will, in some cases, allow you to help out Free Talk Live, like when you shop through that Walmart link, for instance, over at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. As we go back to your calls and thoughts, we still have Cruel Philosopher on the line with us. He is calling from the Bronx, and just want to make sure you had a chance to get your thoughts out. So go ahead.
Oh, thank you. No, I just want to ask one more question about the South and they seem to be the people that are, the super pro-America people. They're very pro-military, pro-police, but then they also have this love affair with like the Confederate statues and the Confederate flags. And once again, I'm confused at how conservatives like have these two, thought processes in the same, mind space.
Well, I'll take that one. As a Southerner, I kind of get it.
And a former conservative.
Well, I mean, I'm still somewhat conservative, I suppose. I live a pretty conservative life, I can tell you that. Like the idea is, again, I would never put a Confederate flag sticker on the back of my car because it would make some people feel bad. And why in the world would you put a sticker on the back of your car that's just spreading some bad feelings? I mean, put a big smiley face or whatever there. Make some people happy. If you're going to take that real estate up on the bumper of your car, let's, do some nice things with it. Mm-hmm. However, I kind of get where they're coming from. To some extent, it's really about sort of geography and where they're from. To them, it's about they're from this particular area, and this particular area has certain beliefs, and that makes us better or different or whatever the idea is, and so they can, with no irony at all, put an American flag on one side of their pickup truck, a Confederate flag on the other side of their pickup truck, and ride around town going, woo, right? And and yeehaw, right? Like it doesn't in any way, shape, or form show up to them as besmirching the memories on either side. It's not that way.
I think there is a bit of irony here.
I get it. How Northerners look at this stuff. I'm
going to say this as someone who has looked at both political parties and seen them switch over and over and over. Okay, what you said is exactly what I was saying before, which is that how can you say you're the party of Lincoln, the Republican Party, when the Republican Party was the reason that the South seceded? How can you have the conservative...
Here in Keene, the Republicans have a Lincoln Day dinner every year.
You're saying you're the party of Lincoln, but you have the Confederate flag. And the Confederacy, literally, South Carolina, the first state to secede, officially in their declaration said, we're seceding because Lincoln was elected.
Right, and there were 4 of the states that specifically mentioned the owning of black people in chattel slavery as part of their reasons for leaving the United States. And I think that it's important to point that out, is that although I do like the idea of secession, states choosing to do this, I think this is probably the worst reason to go ahead and do it. So, yeah.
And look, I'll say this, too. There are many conservatives like... I forgot his name. Conservative comedian, pretty famous. He says that Hitler was a liberal. Change my mind guy.
I've seen the
campuses.
Steven Crowder.
Steven Crowder.
Okay.
Steven Crowder goes, Hitler was a liberal because Nazis have the word socialist in the name. So
they do.
Checkmate, socialist.
Not exactly socialist, but yeah.
Right. So the thing is, so many conservatives would look at the rally called Unite the Right with KKK, members or neo-Nazis marching, and they would say they are leftists. They are called Unite the Right, but they're saying that they are leftists because they are for big government or for, that sort of thing. I would say conservatives are divided on what is conservatism, I think. Sure. Or at least Republican/conservatives might be divided. I'm not saying on the left they're not divided either.
Oh yeah, I was going to say. I mean, we can sit here and make fun of Southerners and conservatives all night.
I'm not intending to. I'm just simply trying to explain it.
There's plenty of inconsistencies within the people on the left as well.
For everybody. Go ahead.
Sorry, just to make sure, I'm not coming at conservatives. It's just like a genuine curiosity. So
how can they do it? And I don't think there's a really good answer for this. It's the answer simply is They don't see the irony. To them, the second Confederate battle flag or whatever.
They love their country and
right.
they love their state.
Right, and that's what it's about. I've actually seen a guy with a tattoo of the state of Florida with the Florida flag in it, which is, by the way, somewhat reminiscent of the Confederate flag. And, to him, like, he's so into Florida that he got a Florida tattoo. I have never seen such a thing. But,
go to Texas.
Yeah, well, Texas blows everybody away when it comes to nationalism.
Well, okay, but look at there's plenty of inconsistencies that are, there's no answer to these questions, but why would the anti-war left disappear when Obama was dropping bombs?
You go. Everybody doesn't want to yeah.
They can't handle the cognitive dissonance. I think that's what it is, because if somebody were to bring it up to them, then cognitive dissonance kicks in, which is this sort of human thing where, oh my God, there's evidence that's presenting itself that counteracts my belief system, and I'm going to reject it. I'm not even going to consider it because it's my belief system and I couldn't possibly be wrong. So why should I look at this evidence? I mean, it's a very strong tendency of humans.
You have Tara Reid accusing Joe Biden of certain things, and then you had Donald Trump admitting in a bus that he actually did those things, but neither party wants to really dig up that can of worms on their candidate.
It's their man. Hey, great call, Krill Philosopher. Thanks for the questions tonight. Definitely appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, that's 855-450-3733. And until people can let go of being part of a party, no matter what, we stick with our party, we stick with our man. Until they can let go of that and look at issues individually, look at people individually, and make decisions based on the circumstances.
And don't forget that people are flawed.
Yeah.
Right? And like this whole thing that we have going on now where, well, we found something wrong with this person, they must be canceled. That's not beneficial
They're either
either.
Perfect or they suck.
Right.
Or they're done.
God.
855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And if you think somebody's perfect, you just don't know enough about them yet. There's more on the way. You can bring up whatever is on your mind. This is Free Talk Live.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
The political world is a maddening cesspool of corruption and lies. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody keeps campaign promises. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Nobody puts the people first. How can we ever escape this web of tyranny? Vote for nobody.
Hi, my name is Nobody. I'm running for governor of New Hampshire because nobody knows how to live your life better than you do, and nobody deserves that kind of power. I want to put you back in control of your money, your lifestyle, your work, your body, and your life. Nobody should rule you but you. New Hampshire convicts many people of so-called crimes that should never have been prosecuted. If elected, I will pardon every victimless crime in New Hampshire history. This includes drug, gambling, prostitution, gun, and driving offenses. Nobody should have a criminal record when they have not harmed anybody.
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody telling you what to do? Learn more at electnobody.com. electnobody.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Bring up anything you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. So we've had Greg on the last couple of days. He's up here kind of on a little vacation, maybe a little business. I don't know, maybe a little mix of both.
Loving it.
But it's good to have you here, and you were a longtime caller of the show prior to becoming one of our sponsors here. You are one of the people behind Intercoin.
That's right.
And we've talked a lot about Intercoin recently. There's a bunch of really neat aspects to this thing. Intercoin.org is where you can go. So what is one of your favorite, I mean, as the developer, or one of the, I don't know how large your team is.
It's about 5 people that we work with for years already.
So 5 people, you guys have a good history together. You know, what are some of the things, or one of the things that is most exciting to you? Because I've got a whole bunch of them here, and we've talked about a bunch. But, you know, if somebody were to ask you about Intercoin, what's one of the responses you'd give?
Well, I think it's about freedom. I think that technology tends to distribute power to people. So, you know, throughout history, you saw we had the post office, and that was a government institution. Now we have email.
Right.
So a lot of things go through email now. You had, you know, printing presses, where if your message wasn't good enough or approved to be printed, it wouldn't be printed. Now you have desktop printing, thanks to Steve Jobs and the laser writer, and you have personal computers, whereas before, and so on.
And websites.
I mean, look at just the telephone industry. 20 years ago, how much did it cost to call long distance?
Right.
Your callers would pay $1 a minute, maybe.
Now you don't even think about it.
Because of voice over IP. We took away the privileged power of phone companies to connect your calls with those operators.
Right.
And we had packet switching, where now the infrastructure is operated by nameless infrastructure providers who compete, and your message can be end-to-end encrypted and no one can even read it.
Right.
That's the future. And so Intercoin uses cryptography, and it uses it in a way that picks up from where Bitcoin and Ethereum left off. See, Bitcoin is secure and Ethereum's secure, but they're not scalable enough to...
Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, I mean, if they were, everyone would be using them by
much
now.
more flexible, and Intercoin has that flexibility. Bitcoin sort of, broke ground and created the, solved the double spin problem. But the idea that you would stop at one technology and say, this is it.
Right.
There couldn't be anything better than this technology. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you the 2020 Model T Ford. Yeah. Right? Like, who would buy that crap?
Now available in brown.
Now available in brown, right? I had a friend who had a Model T Ford. The thing wouldn't go uphill. They had to get out and push.
So it was like, you needed new architecture. I mean, global consensus it sounds overkill. So think about every other internet protocol that's out there. Email. Does anybody ask how many transactions per second email can have? How many emails can the internet support? No, obviously.
The question's never been. I've never even heard the question asked.
Right, because you can add more computers to the internet, and then you could have more things happen in parallel. Same thing. Nobody says how many websites can the web power, because again, the more web servers, the more web clients, the more things can happen.
Right.
It's only when it comes to global consensus about who owns what, with Bitcoin, Ethereum, with proof of work, and not just proof of work, it's just the global blockchain, that everything must go into the next block. But who is mining the block? It's one computer in the world. So that one computer is the bottleneck. No matter how many computers you have in the network, there's a huge bottleneck there. And so if you're going to have everyone paying each other, so Bitcoin solved one problem really well, scarcity, right? And sending money once in a while. But if you want to send money all the time, small amounts,
which is the way an economy works,
right?
Constant transactions of all sizes.
That's why we started Intercoin. So like if you're listening, you want to support this project, you just go to intercoin.org. A way to support the project is buy the tokens. We have a pre-sale of ITR tokens.
Now, does that mean that anybody can buy tokens? Because at one point it was a situation where only accredited
investors, which is basically the super wealthy, people with more than $1 million to invest.
Yeah, pretty much. From what we understand, our legal advisors told us, we have plenty of people now that have bought Intercoin ITR tokens over a year ago. And they didn't buy it with a view to resell, or at least they didn't tell us that they did. So now they can go ahead and you can buy from them. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to be accredited. You could buy $100 of it.
Now, when did that change? Because I feel like when we started promoting Intercoin, it was only for accredited investors. When did that?
I think it was when
crossed?
we got enough people that held it for a year, right?
Would that have been earlier this year when that would have happened?
Like if you're an accredited investor, right, and you come to the
it was cured when COVID was cured.
Okay.
That's random. I don't know.
But, this is earlier this year, right?
No, but if you come to the site, you fill out the form, right? You put your email in there.
Intercoin.org.
Intercoin.org. You get updates about the project, right? You can join the community. And then during that filling out of the form, you're asked, are you an accredited investor? It takes you to Wikipedia where you could see, oh, okay, let's say you are an accredited investor. You could buy directly from us, provided you're not a terrorist or something, because we do KYC.
Right.
But if you are not an accredited investor,
can you be a terrorist and an accredited investor at the same time?
One man's terrorist is another man's accredited investor. No, but if you're just a listener, you want to support the project and buy $100 of Intercoin, you can do that now for the most part by filling out that same form. But you would be buying from our investors.
And you would help connect those people with those investors.
We have a bulletin board where we list everybody. Yeah.
So here's what I'm curious about, because you mentioned the Intercoin. There's these tokens, and they're Ethereum tokens. Is this going to be somehow swapped out for a different kind of Intercoin later? Or is Intercoin going to be on? It's not going to be Ethereum based, is it?
The actual network's not going to be Ethereum based. In a way, it's actually a competitor to Ethereum.
Yeah.
But we're using ITR Ethereum tokens as a stand-in to represent what then you will swap out one for one Intercoin.
So at some point in the future, when
those tokens fund the creation of the system that those tokens upon which they will be useful. Is that an accurate statement?
That's one of the ways we fund it. Yeah.
Okay. That clarifies that. Okay, good to know. I'm really glad to know that it's in a phase where the average person who's got $100 to drop or whatever can do that now. Because
is this the first security token legal in the United States?
No, first of all, the term security token implies that the opposite is a utility token.
Right.
Intercoin has plenty of utility.
Okay.
In Switzerland, there's a more nuanced regulator. It would be considered a utility token, probably. It unlocks all these applications you can do, like UBI in
like
your
launching
community.
your own coin, your own community coin.
That's what it's really designed for. Yeah. So for the time being, we're doing the investment period.
Okay.
And that's what Ethereum is good for. Once in a while, you buy it. Once in a while, you give it to someone else. But it's not for everyday transactions.
Okay.
So we're raising money with that. But What was your question, Mark?
Was ITR the first legal security coin?
No, there were other coins issued by American companies like Ripple, like Orchid, and they have different people have different ideas about whether they're securities or not.
Okay.
I think Intercoin is probably a security. The ITR token is probably a security.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Intercoin would be, but we're treating it as if it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You're covering your butt. And that's a smart thing to do in a situation where potentially millions of dollars are involved, and the government is hot to trot when it comes to coming after these.
If you get too successful, then they hate success.
Yeah. So I'm really glad to hear that, because nobody who's one of our co-hosts, he's really into cryptocurrency. He's more of like a programmer kind of guy, and he got really excited when he went to intercoin.org because it's like really up his alley and is really interested. And then he was like totally bummed because he thought, oh no, I'm not an accredited investor. I can't get involved in that way. But I'm glad to hear that now anybody can do that.
Yeah.
Intercoin.org, get over there and check that out. That's a big change, and I'm sure a lot of people were waiting for it. Intercoin, INTER coin.org. We got more coming up here. Your calls, your thoughts, welcome. Hey, since we're talking about money, there's an interesting question. Is America headed for a post-apocalyptic currency collapse? We'll tell you about it on the way here. 855-450, free like freedom, and you can join us. This is Free Talk Live.
You know what's really smart?
Wash your hands frequently, practice social distancing, and stay home if told to do so.
You know what's really dumb?
To ignore your immune system.
Right now, more than ever, your health depends on a strong immune system.
The experts at Immunocorp will give you their 7-step guide to immunity for life, free.
Why? Because we want you to be smart and healthy.
Simply call 800-446-3063 or click immunityforlife.com.
Immunocorp has been producing the world's leading immune system products for more than 2 decades.
To get your free 7-step guide to immunity for life, call 800-446-3063. 800-446-3063.
Be smart. Don't ignore your immune system. Your life depends on it.
Call 800-446-3063 or click immunityforlife.com. Immunityforlife.com.
Attention gardeners, if you need to grow nutritionally dense vegetables or medicinal herbs this year, listen, because a bioactive superfood for plants is now available. This all-natural superfood for plants is so effective at producing maximum plant growth in minimum time that it almost forces plants to grow, even under the worst light and soil conditions. It's called Proto-Grow, and it's truly remarkable. Vegetables grow faster and contain more bioavailable vitamins and trace minerals. Plants that rarely bloom will flower constantly. Sickly plants become vibrantly alive. Medicinal herbs become super potent. Flowers become more vivid right before your very eyes. Proto-Grow also improves the taste quality of all your garden vegetables. That's because it's more than just an all-natural superfood for plants. It's a proprietary blend of bioactive sea nutrients that contain the basic building blocks of life itself, which is why Proto-Grow even renews your garden by increasing the microorganisms in the soil. Learn more at growlikecrazy.com. That's growlikecrazy.com. Get special pricing for network listeners right now at growlikecrazy.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Yep, it's Free Talk Live. You bring up whatever you want. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms. They're over at discord.lrn.fm. And you'll sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. Tonight, you've got Ian,
Greg,
and Mark.
Greg's here from intercoin.org, which we just talked about quite a bit. You should go check that out. Plus, want to make sure you know that ForkFest 2020 is right around the corner. It's coming soon. We are less than 3 weeks away from the early portion of ForkFest. Initially, we'd been promoting ForkFest as being June 29th through July 5th. But some are going to start celebrating ForkFest early this year. June 22nd will be when the early bird ForkFesters show up. Turns out the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which we had expected was going to precede ForkFest, because the Porcupine Freedom Festival used to essentially reserve the whole park and lock it down, and you couldn't get into the campground.
ForkFest was almost a protest of PorkFest, and now PorkFest is not set up in a way that it would really disqualify you from enjoying ForkFest at PorkFest.
Right. They've gone back to the previous way that the Porcupine Freedom Festival had existed in the past, which is to say that you could go to the campground, get a campsite, and camp out without buying a ticket to the Porcupine Freedom Festival. That's the way it used to be. And then they made it so you had to have a ticket in order to even camp at Rogers Campground during that time frame. They've now gone back to the old ways, which means that if you want to start celebrating ForkFest when the Porcupine Freedom Festival starts, you can do that. So it's up to you. Some people are going to go to both. Some people are going to go to just one. So you make the decision. Go to forkfest.party. You can learn more about the event there and connect with the ForkFest chat room on Telegram. And there's also a ForkFest forum there as well. Our friends from AnyPay are going to be attending, and a lot of good people are going to be there. It's going to be a good time. It is the premier libertarian decentralized camping festival, and it is year number 4 for ForkFest over at forkfest.party. There's no organizer, so there's no ticket price. There's no bureaucracy to get in your way. As long as the campground's open, and it's going to be open, we're going to be there. So we'll look forward to seeing you there. Free Talk Live will be broadcasting for 2 weeks, which has never been done before at this campground. So it's going to be a massive year for us being at this event. I'm looking forward to it. And we're back in Agora Valley during the Porcupine Freedom Festival.
Sweet.
Which is pretty cool. All right, so since we've been talking about money, the future of money, we have to talk about the past of money, which, of course, is sadly still with us in the form of fiat currencies like the U.S. dollar. But is its days numbered, or are its days numbered, and for how many more days or months or years will it last?
Well, if you know the answer to that, you're going to be very, very wealthy.
15,400.
Stefan Gleason over at fxstreet.com has an analysis piece here about, is the currency going to collapse? Well,
the answer is yes, right?
Don't say it can't happen here.
Well, no. I mean, you would be a fool to say that the currency, the United States dollar and the British pound aren't going to collapse. The question is as I just stated it, you got to know when. Because libertarians have been predicting the downfall of the dollar for decades.
Right.
And
it has been falling down. It just hasn't completely gone out.
Right. Well, that's a feature.
China, had the treasuries, and Chinese economy has just blossomed over the last 20 years. So now they're talking about having a digital currency, a digital yuan.
Right.
And
to
so are
compete
other
with
countries.
Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I've read somewhere recently that like the U.S. obviously loves to have the U.S. dollar be the reserve currency of the world, and it's used everywhere. In fact, I'm going to go out and say, what is our biggest export? Is it movies?
It's
is it
dollars.
music?
Dollars.
Yeah, dollars. Yeah.
Dollars, because we
Dollars
print
and
them.
protection.
We are the only ones that can print them. And
Well, we
the
don't
rest of the
print 'em.
world. Yeah, well,
You don't print 'em.
We don't print them. That's actually true. Yeah, the banks issue them a lot of the time, digital dollars. But the point is that they're afraid that the digital dollars are going to, the digital other currencies, yuan, with better technology will leapfrog the dollar.
Well, and that's the thing that they really should be paying attention to. It's not like they haven't had warning. Bitcoin's been around since 2009.
That's right.
I mean, the Federal Reserve knows how to make better money. It's just that they haven't had to. So when the yuan comes out in its digital form, by the way, the United States dollar is a digital currency currently. It has a physical form, but it's a digital currency. Mostly digital. When the yuan comes out with better features, well, yeah, I mean, you better be concerned.
The difference, though, I think, between what you're talking about, where you say the U.S. dollar is digital, in that, you know, your credit cards, for instance, and bank accounts, these are all digital. They're zeros and ones, indicating dollars. That's what you mean.
Yes.
But I think the difference, as I understand it, between what China is talking about and what you're saying, because obviously China's had the digital yuan in that way as well. They've had bank accounts.
Yep,
and
no
things
surprise.
like that. So what's different now is the idea that the central bank itself will be issuing its own wallet, right? It's its own essentially digital currency wallet. That would be the new differentiation, right?
Right, and that has implications for freedom that I want to touch on.
And banks as well.
And banks. The thing is, right now you can think of banks as layer 2 currencies on top of the dollar. So they have a reserve, you know, because I've built this kind of stuff with Intercoin, so I'm talking about it. The banks have a reserve, and at least they did until the federal...
until 2 months ago, they wiped it out.
When you say layer 2, they're doing business in imaginary dollars because they have enough dollars that they can cover any one of these currencies, or any one of these transactions, or 10 of these transactions, or hundreds of the transactions.
Well, and another way to
badly.
put it is that they are in the middle between the Federal Reserve and the user.
Right, and the Federal Reserve is going to make sure they cannot fall, so therefore is going to give them as much money as they need. That's what the repo rate is.
Right, and the bank deals with the Federal Reserve. They send cash to the Federal Reserve. They can get cash from the Federal Reserve, and so on and so forth.
And many people don't know this, but the ACH is actually done through the Federal Reserve.
Yep. And wire transfers.
And wire transfers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and
all that
there's
goes
a
through the
SWIFT
Fed.
network, So my point is that the banks are issuing the money. Most 95% of our money, at least I think, is issued by banks and underwritten by underwriters. And then the money is supposed to be paid back through cash flows of businesses to which it's loaned out. But that's digital money. And I think what you're talking about, Ian, is that the Federal Reserve System will act as its own issuer of these new digital dollars. The implication for freedom is that now everything will be tracked, of course.
That's right. And that's what they've always wanted.
Yeah.
You know, cash is not good for governments. They want to know where you are and what you're doing at all times, and having a digital currency, and more importantly, abolishing cash for them, because they can create this digital currency, but if they still have cash out there, then it still has that problem of being untraceable for the most part.
Right. You don't go buy your drugs with a credit card.
No.
Because you got to use cash, and everybody understands it because cash isn't trackable.
Yeah. So that's what's going to change, if that's what is, coming. Now, again, there haven't been any plans announced in the United States for this full digital dollar, but you're starting to see some businesses, for instance, saying they're not taking dollars anymore, and they're using coronavirus as the excuse to say, oh, well, cash is dirty, and it is. But now it's, people are scared enough to where they're willing to stop.
And I'm going to go out and say that some of these companies are big enough, like WeChat in China is big enough with 1 million merchants that you can do the payments through WeChat. No one's using cash anyway in China. So they already have a digital yuan. It's simply outsourced to WeChat, which has ties to the Chinese government.
I'd like to point out that when I was in Saipan, I saw people doing business on WeChat.
Yeah.
So WeChat, while it is a Chinese creation, is being done, places that aren't China.
Well, there's a lot of
in the
Chinese
United States.
tourism in Saipan, though.
Sure,
so that's
there
one
is.
of the reasons for that. So, analysis from Stephen Gleason at Money Metals Exchange. He writes, just when it seemed as though America may be turning the corner after months of lockdown, just when it seemed as though we were on a path to reopening and gradually returning to normalcy, just when the prospects of panic-induced social unrest seemed to be behind us, America's cities erupted into flames. Antifa and Black Lives Matter organized rioting, looting, violence, and mayhem. Now, I don't know if it's fair to say that Black Lives Matter organized those things.
Or even Antifa.
From what I can tell, Black Lives Matter organized peaceful protests. But going on, he says the country's in pandemonium. Even if the insurrections are soon quelled, as Donald Trump promised to do in a speech in front of the White House on Monday, the consequences won't soon go away. Some epidemiologists seized on the protests to predict a spike in the spread of the coronavirus due to the gathering of large crowds.
I thought the riot stopped corona.
They claim the flattened curve could begin to steepen all over again.
The curve is far more than flattened. If you look at the CDC's numbers,
going down, right?
It's the current numbers that are being reported for excess deaths, and again, that's they're not all up to date completely, but they're below the acceptable level. Yeah.
The experts, he puts that in quotes, may be wrong, as they've often been during this outbreak. The nationwide lockdowns and social distancing rules may prove to have been overkill. The response to pandemic fears, including and especially the economic consequences, certainly contributed to driving some people over the edge. Pent-up stress, frustration, boredom, alienation, fear, and other symptoms of cabin fever created the potential for a social conflagration. In fact, he goes through a interesting little 8-step process here as to how the S began to hit the fan, and what's it going to mean for money? Coming up here in just a moment. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can weigh in, share your thoughts with us. Hour number 3 is coming up. You can take control of the airwaves here on Free Talk Live.
This COVID-19 thing has turned the world upside down. Regardless of what you believe about it, it has changed our lives. But what's not changed is that if you own a business, you need to advertise to reach new customers or clients. Our audience is not the kind to stick their heads in the sand during a crisis. They are fully engaged and more active than ever. Special advertising packages are available to you to help you not just recover, but thrive. Email my sales manager, Matthew at freetalklive.com. The next generation wallet is coming from Divvy. In just a few taps, you'll be able to send, earn, spend, and exchange digital money in seconds. Send money around the globe with only a swipe. Instantly exchange between Divvy, Bitcoin, and fiat right in the mobile app, and withdraw directly to your bank account. Divvy already offers the first one-tap solution for earning passive income with crypto. Multi-tiered masternodes allow everyone to partake in the network. Visit DivvyProject.org. DivvyProject.org.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with the SNLS Network and listeners like you. Online at snlsnetwork.com. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,740, silver at $18.77, and Bitcoin is trading at $10,060. Today's gold, silver, and Bitcoin prices are brought to you by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven. The Liberty Beat and Brave Botanicals believe so strongly in the power of kratom, we're giving it away for free. Just go to libertybeat.news/free kratom. This is the Liberty Beat at snlsnetwork.com. In the news, the Kentucky National Guard fired live ammunition at a crowd while enforcing the recently imposed curfew in the very early hours of Monday morning, leaving at least one person dead. The Mind Unleashed reports the incident took place just after midnight, according to Louisville Metro Police Chief Steve Conrad, who said that the city's police were sent to a parking lot to break up a crowd along with the National Guard. The police and the National Guard claim they were shot at during the altercation, but they have given no proof to support those claims. Meanwhile, amid racial unrest across the nation, President Trump on Monday declared himself the president of law and order and threatened to deploy the United States military to American cities to quell a rise of violent protests. Earlier, he spoke to governors on a video teleconference with law enforcement and national security officials, telling the state leaders they have to get much tougher, criticizing their responses. Ever wonder where we find all the news to report right here on the Liberty Beat? Visit snls.news to get the world's most censored media published all in one place. Save yourself from the endless time spent searching for reliable alternative media. SNLS News makes it quick and easy. No ads, no clickbait, just raw headlines, 24 hours a day. Visit snls.news and get informed today without the corporate media spin. Your news now continues. George Floyd, who died after being choked by Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin last Monday, succumbed to asphyxiation as a result of Chauvin's actions. That's according to an independent autopsy ordered by his family. The Free Thought Project reports the findings of the autopsy, carried out by medical examiners Dr. Michael Baden and Dr. Alicia Wilson, differ from those of the Hennepin County, Minnesota medical examiner, who examined Floyd's body before Chauvin was charged with murder on Friday. Floyd's apparent murder shocked the nation, with a video showing the last agonizing 8 minutes of his life, triggering protests and riots across the U.S. Nearly a week later, the protests have escalated into full-blown anarchy, looting, and arson. People in a number of international cities violated bans on large gatherings over the weekend to show solidarity with protests against police brutality that have exploded in at least 140 cities across the United States. The Free Thought Project reports political leaders overseas condemn the killing of George Floyd, who died after now former Minneapolis officer Derek Chauvin pressed his knee into Floyd's neck for over 8 minutes, while the man was unarmed and handcuffed, and his onlookers pleaded with Chauvin to stop. An estimated 1,500 people in Berlin marched Sunday, a day after more than 2,000 people gathered outside the U.S. Embassy, where they chanted Black Lives Matter and held pictures of Floyd. In England, officials Friday denounced the arrest of CNN correspondent Omar Jimenez and his camera crew as they reported on the protests in Minneapolis. Michelle Bachelet, the High Commissioner for Human Rights at the United Nations, called on the United States to take serious action to end police killings of civilians, which happened nearly 1,100 times in 2019. Support for the Liberty Beat is brought to you by the Homestead Guru. The Homestead Guru is an educational website offering tips, tools, news, stories, and commentary on everything homesteading. Topics include green homes, gardening, animal husbandry, do-it-yourself, home remedies, alternative energy, survivalism, unschooling, and more. Those details are found online at thehomestead.guru. This is the Liberty Beat, powered by the SNLS Network at snlsnetwork.com. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Despite a long-held consensus pointing to the mid-20s as the final stage of brain maturation, a new study has found that the adolescent brain doesn't fully form until boys have avenged their father's murder.
New imaging studies suggest that the frontal cortex goes through extensive changes during the period of training when an adolescent boy prepares himself to track down and kill the man who took his father's life. But it's not until the boy stares deep into the murderer's eyes and then stabs him right in the heart that the two lobes fuse into a fully mature brain.
According to Dr. Laurie's findings, the myelin surrounding the teenage nerve synapses develops when boys stake out the home of their father's murderer, put themselves through grueling physical training, and fantasize again and again about how satisfying it will be when he finally makes the bastard who took everything from him beg for his life.
Now, if they let their father's killer slip through their grasp, or if they press the barrel of a gun to the back of his head and then realize they don't have what it takes to pull the trigger, then the amygdala is definitively stunted, and they'll have lifelong problems interpreting emotional information.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here as we launch into the third hour of the program. Joining you in the studio this evening, you've got me, Ian.
And Greg.
And Mark.
And you can join us toll free at 855-450-FREE. We've been talking about money, and the question over at fxstreet.com is America headed for a post-apocalyptic currency collapse? The question is, when will the U.S. dollar die? It seems like it's inevitable.
Signs point to maybe.
Well, all of the government monies over time have failed. Eventually, they
right. I mean,
all become subject to.
Over the course, entropy has this effect, right?
Well,
over
so does printing money.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but in a million years we won't have this, civilization. In a billion years we won't have this planet. Maybe.
No doubt. The amount of time that government currencies last is usually, 100 years or something like that? It's not particularly
40.
long. Is it only 40?
It's 40.
Wow.
The two
that
have
way overdue.
Really kicked the numbers in the crotch are the pound sterling, not backed by sterling, and the U.S. dollar, which, by the way, is a derivative of a Dutch word meaning a certain measurement of silver.
Right.
So both of these, fiat currencies, and we say fiat meaning the government has said that they are currencies, are lies. Because the pound sterling isn't backed by sterling, and the U.S. dollar isn't backed by a dollar.
Was the pound sterling backed by silver in the past?
Yes.
Right.
So was the United States dollar.
The dollar used to
Hence the
refer
silver
to the gold dollar. And then what happened was in the Civil War, we were talking about the Civil War, to bankroll the Civil War, government needs money. So it would issue bonds. But then they issued the greenback.
Yeah, the greenback.
Yeah.
The greenback. That became the most popular monetary instrument. See, at the time we had the free banking era. So the federal government wasn't in the business of either backstopping the banks in terms of liability, but also regulating the reserves. The states were doing that. And so in the free banking era, many banks failed because they overextended themselves and there was a run on the bank and so on. Well, the federal government issued the greenback, and it was redeemable for two things only. One was the tariffs, because that's what the government was funded by.
Right.
You could pay tariffs with it. And the other is land taxes, because at the time you paid land taxes to, I suppose, the federal government. I'm not sure about that, but
maybe you paid to the state, and the state sent some money to the feds. Who knows?
They had an arrangement, maybe. But anyway, because there was so much that you can use it on versus like a local bank where you can only redeem it at that local bank, it became the most popular monetary instrument. And then that wasn't good enough. They made it legal tender for all debts, public and private. It says that on every dollar, if you look.
Right.
What that means is that if you go to a state court and you have a debt, like let's say you went to the restaurant and then you skipped out on your bill, right? Well, they're going to ask, did you offer dollars? And the restaurant owner says, yeah, but I wanted gold. They say case dismissed because it's legal tender, you see. They can't force you to give any other type of remuneration. Dollars have become legal tender. And that is how they effectively made it so that dollars are accepted everywhere.
But you could do business in a way that, say you sell lawnmowers, right? And you can say, I'm only accepting gold bullion for lawnmowers, in so much as you don't give the lawnmower to them until you get the gold bullion, as opposed to a restaurant where you eat the food and then you go up to pay the bill. I mean, there are restaurants where you pay the bill and then you get the food.
That's true. That's how it worked in Japan.
That's how it worked at McDonald's. So, when I went there recently, the lady accidentally gave me the bag first, and she's like, please don't drive away. Like, I'm not driving away.
And those are the only restaurants that can say, we don't take paper. Because everyone else, you don't take paper? Okay, goodbye.
For the longest time, they weren't taking cards. Now they do.
So, the story here from fxstreet.com about the inevitable fall of the dollar. Really, the question is when. It's talking about how it's sort of this perfect storm for what has occurred. Jeremy Boring of the Daily Wire suggests,
the man's name is Boring.
Boring. It is,
yeah. And he writes
for the Daily Wire.
Perhaps you should change your name if you write for a living and your name is Boring.
That social chaos erupted in an 8-step process. 1, instill fear, which of course governments have been doing. Check. Forever. 2, lock people in their houses.
Check.
3, drive tens of millions out of work. 4, remove pressure valves like sports, concerts, bars, theaters, lunch with friends, things that people can do to blow off some steam. Like, my life sucks, I'm going to go drink. And they can't even do that now.
Oh no, they're drinking. They're just not drinking
at
with
home.
people. Yes.
Right.
Drinking more now.
Number 5.
Pre-game all the time.
Close the churches, as we discussed earlier. Number 6. Dehumanize through masking the healthy. And that's what I've been saying about the masks this whole time, is this dehumanization, masquerading as though it's something that's good for humanity.
Right. I mean, when you can't see people's faces, that's the definition of dehumanization.
Yep. And number 7, wait. 8, strike the match. The match was the death of a suspect named George Floyd. He had fentanyl and other drugs in his system and may have been charged with a relatively minor crime. A police officer appeared to use excessive force in pinning him down. Actually, it was more than one. Clearly, Floyd's death and the police actions that led to it deserve to be investigated. But the establishment media decided, without evidence of racial bias by the officer, and in contradiction to evidence that shows black arrestees are actually less likely to be killed by white cops. That's an interesting claim. I have not heard that before. He
Less
says,
likely than whom?
I don't know.
Presumably, it would be
all the other races
cops
combined?
Yeah,
right,
maybe.
the other races of cops.
To make Floyd's death all about the incendiary issue of race. Time will tell if race played a role, but most agree the video evidence show the officer in the wrong, and so the fire was lit. The American Institute for Economic Research notes, quote, many of the overly confident planners who hatched this disaster are hunkered down in hiding. People are unlikely to ever hold the mainstream media in high regard, unquote. Sowing the seeds of hatred and whipping up already anxious populations into a frenzy over a fabricated narrative, racism, of a single person's death means many more lives that should have mattered will now be lost to senseless violence. The article concludes pessimistically, quote, the best laid plans, inspired by myopic modelers, eschewing of expert opinions of dissident scientists, disregarding of essential rights, fueled by media fabrications and irresponsibility imposed by governments at all levels. It's a new chapter of the road to serfdom, unquote. Some economists are predicting a death blow to small businesses that were already unprecedented.
I don't see how a lot of small businesses that I've seen have gone out of business.
It's already happening. Under unprecedented financial strain. Remember when we were reading about business owners and their kind of opinion of what's happening to them? We read a story of some California business owners on one street. They interviewed like 6 different business owners and asked them, what's happening to you? How's this affecting your business? And a lot of them were saying, I don't think I can make it past May. Well, we're about to be out of May.
Yeah.
Very, very soon. We're out of May.
Yeah.
Article from Business Insider. More than half of American retailers didn't pay their rent in April and May, and it could upset the entire economy.
Let's talk about that coming up. I'm glad you brought that up because when I first saw you showed me that headline, and when I glanced at it, I thought it said half of American renters. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's believable. But then I looked closely, and it's
retailers.
Retailers haven't paid their rent. So we got to get into that, too. Some economists were predicting this the death blow to small businesses that were already under unprecedented financial strain. If they weren't ransacked, looted, and destroyed by hooligans, they will feel the macro effects of urban decline and flight, plummeting consumer confidence, falling property values, and worsening budgetary crises for state and local governments. But don't worry. Walmart, Amazon, Google, JP Morgan Chase, and all their close friends in D.C. will be just fine.
Yeah, they're doing okay.
In the event that any too-big-to-fail entity runs into trouble, it'll get bailed out by the Federal Reserve. Just like they did in 2008.
Wasn't it those cruise ship companies that are asking the U.S. government to bail them out?
Sure, in the newspapers.
The same companies that offshore all of their registrations to other countries not to pay taxes.
Exactly. The demands for bailouts going forward will only accelerate. Lockdown relief is still being dispensed, and soon, quote, riot relief, unquote, will come too. The currency crisis will also come, perhaps later this year, perhaps further out in time. Admittedly, most of us in the sound money camp have been surprised at how resilient the Federal Reserve note has been for so long. As you said, Mark, these guys have been predicting the downfall of the dollar for decades.
The Federal Reserve is an excellent bunch of jugglers.
But the world's primary reserve currency has never had to weather a storm quite like the one we're in now. No government can borrow into oblivion, and no currency can be printed into oblivion without that currency losing credibility and purchasing power. So where's this one going to go? 855, 450, free, and how soon? That's really the only question. We know the direction. We just don't know the time frame. 855-450-3733. You can share your thoughts on the inevitable death of the dollar. This is Free Talk Live.
Mojo would swallow things whole. A chicken carcass, a bird nest, and assorted stones and sticks. After surgery, Mojo had skin issues. He was constantly itching and scratching, chewing the hair right off of his legs.
DINOVITE.com.
On the Dynovite, all of these symptoms disappeared.
Dynovite is nutrition.
If you love your dog, you need to put him on Dynovite.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils plus a hint of menthol was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Talk Live, inviting you, if you want to join us on the radio, our number, 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the money situation and how dire it looks on the horizon. Of course, it's always looked bad for the dollar. The value of it has been plummeting ever since they took the gold and silver backing away from it way back in the day. I guess Nixon finally got rid of the silver standard or whatever it was in the early 70s.
Right. So what Nixon did was that nations could demand gold for dollars that they held. And that was the Bretton Woods Accords, and that's
he canceled that.
Yeah,
that's what you're saying.
Basically,
Yeah,
petrodollars.
And they got rid of the people being able to collect the silver, backing the silver certificates. What was that? The 30s, I think, when they stopped that?
I don't know that part.
Yeah, because it used to. You can still find them every now and then.
You'll find a silver certificate, and it says very clearly on it that you can turn this in for an amount of silver.
Right, because it wasn't a note. It wasn't evidence of debt. It was evidence of value. Right. So it's Ian, Greg, and Mark in the studio here tonight. We're sharing an opinion piece from fxstreet.com where he's talking about a potential collapse of the currency coming up after all this terrible news that has hit, this economic downturn as a result of the government's restrictions, responding to the COVID-19, which was, as I've put it in recent months, completely overblown. No government, he says, can borrow into oblivion, and no currency can be printed into oblivion without that currency losing credibility and purchasing power. Just look at Venezuela. You want a great example of the failure, one of the most recent in our history failures of a currency. The people of Venezuela, they know better than to hold on to a bolivar. You get that bolivar, and you spend it as soon as you possibly can because it's going to be worth less 10 minutes later.
It's a hot potato.
Yeah, the U.S. debt clock, it's usdebtclock.org.
What's it at right now?
Jumped up dramatically with Trump's issuing of...
It wasn't just Trump. Remember, that was a bipartisan bill that Trump signed.
Fine. Yeah. Trump is going to get he'll
get the blame.
The blame for it.
But keep in mind, the government had been going into debt the previous 4 years by not raising enough revenues and still spending.
Well, and that's what they've always done, basically. Yeah. I mean, they're constantly going into deeper and deeper debt, and that's to be expected because they themselves aren't held liable for it.
And I predicted that if Trump gets reelected, that you will see a $40 trillion debt at the end of his term. And I don't know how it's going to happen. It's just happened that way up to this point. Now, I don't, at this point, we're $25 trillion, so tick-tock, it's coming. I don't know if Trump's going to get reelected, and I don't know how that will affect the debt. But the debt is at an incredible height, and I just don't know what is going to happen. The United States Federal Reserve note. It's a note because it's an issuance of debt.
Correct.
And I mean, how does this work? We don't have a lot of experience as a debt note as the world's reserve currency. What could happen? I don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
it ain't going to be pretty.
Disaster.
A few things. One is on the macroeconomic level, the Treasury, let's say, prints the dollars, right? As we said, the banks, the smaller banks, they underwrite loans. And then the Federal Reserve does open market operations on federal debt. The federal government says, it makes the calculation that it's better to borrow than print because by the time they need to service that debt, the dollar will be worth less. So it actually is cheaper for them to just say, I owe you money with dollars that will be worth a lot less in the future. Having said that, though, when there's an opposite problem that's happening when people lose jobs. The opposite problem is that dollars become scarce because remember, most of the dollars are issued by banks. And then when that cash flow defaults, like when these retailers can't
default on their loans,
where's that money? That money, poof, disappears.
It's gone
from the economy. So
you have deflation in that
You have deflation. So this printing of more dollars, this Keynesian type of thing, isn't exactly creating excess dollars if a lot of dollars are simply disappearing from the economy.
That's a great point.
That's the Federal Reserve's issuance of the $4 trillion, but the Trump administration signed the bill to issue $2 trillion of U.S. debt. So that gets a little more complicated because currently, basically your income taxes, the United States income tax, the whole total receipts goes to pay the interest on the loans.
The Grace Commission.
That have been taken up to this point. So like at what point are we not taxing enough to pay the interest that we're already kicking the debt down the road to our grandchildren and great-grandchildren and whomever else is going to deal with it? What happens when you can't pay the interest either?
I don't know.
Nothing good. That your credit rating suffers.
But anyway, so the thing that helps the United States is that the government's money, the dollar, because of the Bretton Woods system, is in demand all over the world.
It is.
So as long as other countries are doing worse than we are, we are okay. We can print a ton of money because others will take it.
Well, I mean, when you can see when you're jogging down the track and you might be the guy in the lead, sometimes you got to look back and see whether or not there's a guy behind you that's running faster. And right now, what China's doing with this digital currency is they've kicked in for that final run. They're going to try to pass the United States. And if they do, I believe once one currency passes the U.S. dollar, kaboom, it just blows up. Now, that did not happen with the pound sterling. I'd like to point that out. London is still the world's banking center, and New York has a strong claim on that, as does Hong Kong. But, and mind you, China's taking over Hong Kong, so China will be one of the world's banking centers here in the relatively near future. But it seems to me once the U.S. dollar is no longer the most valuable thing, it's just gone. It just falls like a rock is how I see it.
It's a prediction.
It's a prediction.
But you were right, though, and you're giving a good example, Greg, of how this system is manipulated from top to bottom. And they've got a lot of tricks up their sleeve that has kept this thing afloat for a long time. And so you're pointing out that, even though they are printing like crazy, they're also just replacing the loans that had already existed and are now being defaulted upon. And so maybe the total is, maybe the aggregate will be deflation instead of inflation. It's possible.
That's
right?
what you got to worry about. And you look at the Great Depression. Even Milton Friedman, who was quite libertarian in many of his ideas.
Yeah, sure.
He criticized the Fed. He said, well, if the Fed does it, given that it exists, it should never have existed. But given that it exists, it should do its job. And what was the job of the Fed? It was to be the lender of last resort.
Yeah.
And they didn't lend. 1/3 of the banks failed. And when the banks failed, 1/3 of the money failed. And what that looks like is you try to get a job and they tell you, we have no money to hire you. So you have no money to spend at the retailers. And then the retailers can't pay their rent. And so what happens is the money's got to come back into the economy because just for people to sit around doing nothing is probably the worst outcome there can be. And that's the outcome.
That's what's happening now.
That's why pouring money into the economy may, in this case, be reviving it. But it definitely redistributes the money in ways that
I do not want to make it seem like you can just pull out of a Keynesian system at the bottom and the things go well. When you got to pull out of a Keynesian system is when it's at the top.
Which they're never going to do.
But nobody will.
Right.
Nobody wants to leave the bar when they're feeling good.
Right. 855-450 free. Coming up, Greg, you've got the story about these businesses. Huge numbers of businesses are not paying rent in May and April. We'll talk about it on the way. It's Free Talk Live.
The next generation wallet is coming from Divvy. In just a few taps, you'll be able to send, earn, spend, and exchange digital money in seconds. Send money around the globe with only a swipe. Instantly exchange between Divvy, Bitcoin, and fiat right in the mobile app and withdraw directly to your bank account. Divvy already offers the first one-tap solution for earning passive income with crypto. Multi-tiered masternodes allow everyone to partake in the network. Visit DivvyProject.org. DivvyProject.org. This COVID-19 thing has turned the world upside down. Regardless of what you believe about it, it has changed our lives. But what's not changed is that if you own a business, you need to advertise to reach new customers or clients. Our audience is not the kind to stick their heads in the sand during a crisis. They are fully engaged and more active than ever. Special advertising packages are available to you to help you not just recover, but thrive. Email my sales manager, Matthew at freetalklive.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live brought to you by Bitcoin.com. Great place to go and learn the basics about Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, cryptocurrency in general over at Bitcoin.com. Also, they've got an excellent news website where you can get the latest headlines about cryptocurrency, news from across the planet at news.bitcoin.com. Plus, you can buy Bitcoin Cash through local.bitcoin.com, which is a cool thing they launched. Actually, I think it was 1 year ago. It was the very beginning of June in 2019 when they launched local.bitcoin.com. So it's celebrating its first year. Go check that out over at bitcoin.com. As we go to your phone calls and thoughts coming up, Greg's got the story about massive numbers of U.S. businesses just not paying rent over the last couple of months. Like more than half, I think you said, or close to half was a number. We'll get into that coming up here. But first, Lumpy is on the line. He's on our Discord server at discord.lrn.fm. Go ahead, Lumpy.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, you're calling from Massachusetts. Go ahead.
I'm calling from the police state of Massachusetts. Now, I'll tell you, I'm on Cape Cod, which is an absolutely beautiful place, but things are really messed up down here.
Really?
I'm a handyman. I'm doing, I'm going around from job to job today, and I want to buy some beer in the afternoon. So I get my lunch. I get a steak and cheese sub at a place called Pinocchio's. And the bastards didn't give me cheese, so I figured
little liars. Those little liars at Pinocchio's.
That's right.
How long is that nose?
Exactly. But, so I went down, I go down to the liquor store right down the street where they're making my sandwich, which they only serve outside. You can't go in unless you have a mask on. And I'm lucky. You can't go in anywhere. There's places down here. There's the biggest hardware store that's not Home Depot down here called Mid-Cape Home Centers. They're not accepting cash. So guess what?
Jesus.
You guys don't get my damn business.
Yep.
And none of them. And it's enraging because these people in Massachusetts don't get it. They love their servitude. They love their slavery. They really do. And for me saying this stuff, they'll probably think I'm some kind of terrorist. I'm not kidding. I mean, really, that's how these people are. They'll believe anything the television tells them. They'll believe anything the governor tells them. They really will.
It's so sad.
And it's a beautiful place. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
There's where I'm at. There's like hardly ever any bugs. We got nice breeze here. We've got a river. We get shellfish out of all the time, and
Sounds awesome.
it's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. And but when I'm
But
at
it's
work,
full of sheep. It's full of obedient serfs who will do whatever it is that they're told to do.
yeah, and I won't go into a business that asks me to wear a face condom.
No,
So,
wait a minute. Are they asking or are they refusing
Oh no,
service?
it's right on the door. It's right on the door in a lot of places. Like I go in the morning and I get a couple of those Monster Energy drinks in the coffee ones in the morning.
Uh-huh.
I go to a gas station and I tell them, I said, "Boy, I tell them first. I said to them, I said, the girls, I'm always flirting with them. I say, you got such a beautiful smile. Of course, she's wearing the mask, right?
Yeah, that's funny.
So, and they're all loving it. We have a good time. But, finally they put up their counter condom, and I said, this is the lousiest I didn't say that. I said SEist.
Yeah.
But anyway, I said, this is the SEist bulletproof glass I've ever seen. It's not going to save you. It's not. And I say that to everybody,
Sure, it's
but,
funny.
Right.
Invite them to a tea party. In
yeah,
Boston.
nah, there's people, as nice as they are, they're still mass holes. So they don't get it.
But just to clarify something, Lumpy, are you experiencing that these businesses are asking or refusing service? Because most of the places around here, or a lot of them, have signs on the door, especially the more corporate kind of places, right? They have signs on the door that will say things like, "We request that you wear a mask," or "We expect that you wear a mask." But it's very rare that you'll see masks are required. But I did finally run into that at Citizens Bank here in Keene the other day. It's the first time because I've been out and about.
They're
shopping.
currently requiring you to wear a mask into a bank.
Right.
It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, I walked in. The woman behind the counter, she stands. There were like 4 counters, right? Counter areas where tellers could stand behind, right? Of course, they don't have 4 tellers. There's only 2
I've
back
seen
there.
people with a gun on their hip in banks here in New
Yeah,
Hampshire.
I've been in the Bank of America in Keene with a 9mm on my hip with no problem.
I've had no problem open carrying guns into most banks. Citizens Bank, however, is the only bank that has refused to allow me to enter with a gun.
I wonder if they would let you carry a gun and require you to carry a mask.
Well, Citizens Bank will not allow you to wear a gun at all. They haven't allowed that ever.
So bizarre.
No shoes, no service, no mask, no gun.
But
basically that they say that. I've seen signs that says no shirt, no shoes. I've seen the no mask, no service sign.
So,
and I'll tell you what, you know how mouthy I get. You guys might know me. I've said loud enough for them to hear that they're idiots many times because I'm so enraged. I'm so mad. The place I go to buy shingles and stuff like that, and deck stuff. I mean, they have this extended counter. They have a huge piece of thick plywood out there now on the other side of the counter, and they have a long handle. They accept cash, so at least I go there, and they don't hassle me about wearing a mask. And they're all wearing a mask on their stupid chins like idiots, or their nose is sticking out. It's over their mouth,
Right.
Anyway, but
Ridiculous.
they hand it to me on a big, long piece of wood with a paper plate with a pizza drawn on it. That's how they hand me my change. You got to put your money on that. I'm in there with a buddy of mine, and I crack a few jokes every time I'm in there about sideways jokes. But so as a handyman, now this place is horrible, and I love living here. It's a beautiful place and everything, but it's still Massachusetts, and it's the land of the sheep. So I want to be able to start taking cryptocurrency, and I know Greg's on the show tonight. So Greg, can I ask you a question about Intercoin?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I think you're the inventor, creator, I guess, right?
You could say that.
All right. Now, so what would now? I'm a novice to this stuff. I haven't taken it before. I've got an Edge wallet, right? And I'd like to be able to start taking crypto from my customers, but a lot of these people are Massachusetts people. They don't get it anyway. So, and a lot of my customers are elderly, and there's no way there's no way they're gonna. This is Cape Cod. This is a retirement place. People come here to die like they go to Florida.
Yeah, they don't want to learn a new thing at the end of their life.
No, they're done. And so, I believe that Intercoin is being treated as a security. Now, I'm a tax protester. I haven't paid taxes in well over a decade, and I'm not like Ridley, where I sent him a letter. I believe Dave Ridley, as you guys know, he sent him a letter and said, I guess that's the way that you keep them from hassling you. I'm not going to pay them, and because I don't believe in anything they do. So.
Was there a question about Intercoin coming in
yeah,
here?
so now would I get on the radar if I started taking Intercoin, because I believe it's treated as a security, where Ethereum or other things are. I don't want to be on their
He's
radar.
asking, okay, you're asking, is there some sort of legal liability to accept Intercoin?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a security. Yeah, security is defined basically by the Howey test, which was Howey versus the United States, the Supreme Court. I think it was a court that basically said, look, a security is something where people expect it to go up in value. They buy it not because it gives you access to certain things, but mostly to speculate it and to hold it and to sell it. So that's why we treat Intercoin as a security, because that's why I think many people are buying a new ICO or whatever you call it, new token, thinking that, if the network grows and the whole thing goes up, it could be like the next Bitcoin, right? So that's why people might want to get it. However, the problem, and this problem, Telegram had this problem just recently, is that the federal government basically stopped them from using the Telegram grams as a currency.
Right.
But
they stopped them from even launching.
Yeah, they
I'll
stopped.
buy a gram off you, man.
We'll talk.
You will.
No, but the thing is, are we talking about teas? Anyway, so
no, just weed.
Okay. So the thing is, so Intercoin has two levels. Intercoin itself is the gold of the economy. You would issue your own currency, and you would actually have your own currency, which would be pegged to the dollar if you wanted to.
Or whatever.
It wouldn't be a security.
It doesn't have to be dollar.
It wouldn't have to be a dollar. It could be pegged to Bitcoin.
And this is just getting started. So Intercoin itself hasn't really launched yet. You're doing a fundraising period.
Yeah.
Intercoin.org. You can go and check it out, and anybody can get involved there. Thank you, Lumpy. There's more coming up. This is Free Talk Live.
Frustrated trying to get business capital? Want to take the slow process and rejection out of the equation? GCNloans.com removes the slow, irritating approval process. Instead, get quick, simple funding. Powered by David Allen Capital, 80% of our pre-qualified clients are approved in days. Pre-qualify at GCNloans.com and get your money this week. It's that easy. GCNloans.com. That's GCNloans.com.
This is a pandemic survival alert, and the most time-sensitive messages you will hear this year. You still have time to plant a 1-acre crisis garden and secure a supply of your own nutrient-dense food. But time is running out, and it's one deadline you don't want to miss. Who should plant a crisis garden? Individuals, families, churches, communities, anyone or any group that sees hard times ahead. Let's face it, even the mainline media is talking about food supply disruptions and the growing number of grocery store workers who are becoming sick. But there's more. Meat packing plants are closing, mile-long lines at food pantries, and more farmers now in financial trouble. The truth is, growing nutrient-dense vegetables this summer may be the single most important thing you do. Go to survivalseedbank.com and watch the new video to understand what we're really up against. Get free bonus seeds, special quarantine reports too. Don't wait, every minute counts. Go to survivalseedbank.com. That's survivalseedbank.com.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I started fighting the IRS over 40 years ago when they tried to seize my mother's house. I sued the IRS and won. I beat the IRS then, and I've been beating them ever since. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I've helped thousands of people deal with tax problems they thought might never be solved. I can help you too. If you owe taxes you can't pay, don't wait another day. There's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com, danpilla.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you get the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Moments remain. Maybe enough time for you if you call in now. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. It's 855-450-3733. Coming up, there's an interesting story that Greg's going to share here about stores. A shocking number of retailers not paying their rent. That's on the way. Your calls and thoughts, though, we're going to go back to the phones and the fun. But don't forget to help support Free Talk Live via the AMP program, like Tom has done. Tom is a gold amplifier, and that means that Tom contributes $10 a month to the AMP program, and AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. So you can head on over to amp.freetalklive.com, and that will allow you to get signed up, where you can use your credit card, you can use PayPal, you can use Bitcoin, BTC, and sign up for the AMP program and get access to some cool perks, get some bennies for being an amplifier, and you help us get Free Talk Live on new radio stations. Just got a signed agreement in today, as a matter of fact, from a news station. So I don't like to say where it is until we actually get them on the air, because every time I say what station's going to be on, something goes wrong, and it never actually starts when they're supposed to start. So we'll let you know once they're on the air with us. And there's actually another station in California that's supposed to be coming on this weekend. So we got a couple of them that are in the hopper. Looking forward to announcing those for real once they are done. The deals are done. It's just they're not on the air yet. So these things take time. But it's because of amplifiers like Tom. And Tom's, as I said, doing $10 a month. We only ask for $5 a month, so he's doing twice that. So we appreciate it. It's because of amplifiers like Tom that we're able to get on more radio stations and spread the ideas of freedom as far and as wide as we can. Gene, the Christian anarchist, is one of those longtime amplifiers as well, and he's on the line on our Discord server. Go ahead, Gene.
Yeah, the list of people who have been killed by the violent police department is a long list. People that keep track of these things say that it's been some 1,000 people so far.
How many thousand? You cut out there for just a sec.
I think they say around 1,000 so far this year.
Oh, just this year. Okay, got it.
But I wanted to talk about one of those 1,000. Of course, know about George, and we talked tonight about Duncan Lemp. But there's Brianna Taylor, who was shot in Louisville, Kentucky. she was shot this was about 2 months ago, and now the protesters are also taking up this case. But she was an EMT technician, and she was killed with a SWAT team raid in her house with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend, she was 27, I believe, 5.
Wow.
She's a very young lady, and she was there. Of course, she's a black lady. Not that that matters, because Limp was a white guy. But at any rate, she's an EMT technician. She's never been in trouble. They come into her house because somebody supposedly was picking up packages there that look suspicious, you know. So her boyfriend had a gun, took a shot at a cop, hit him in the femoral artery. He survived. But
Luckily.
Then the SWAT team, of course, opens up and they kill this lady.
Now, did they know they were cops when they were coming through coming into the house?
Well, of course, believe it or not, these cops didn't even have body cams out.
Mm.
In this day and age, there is no excuse for that.
I thought they were plain closed, but maybe I'm wrong on that one.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
That was probably. But they announced that they were police before breaking in the door.
Well,
the neighbors.
Hold on, wait a second.
Else.
Okay, I have a little experience with criminals and their behavior, having spent 8.5 years in a Florida prison, and I can tell you that it's part of the training that the criminals put each other through to say, "Hey, it's the police," right? Like they'll yell "police" before they do things in order to get to throw you off in the first place.
Right, as if it even should have mattered whether they said police. But there's a discrepancy whether they said police or not.
You're supposed to let them rob you if they say we're police.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it really shouldn't matter. So anyway, the guy hits one of the cops. They blast the house full of bullets, kill this lady. And this has been like 2 months ago. But people don't realize how often things like this happen. And there shouldn't even be one case like this, not even one. And there's hundreds of them.
Yeah, I'm going to just interject here, Gene. According to the NPR piece that was published actually today about Brianna Taylor's death, she and her boyfriend, Kenneth, were at home in her apartment when a team of plainclothes Louisville police officers arrived to execute a no-knock warrant early in the morning of March 13th. So it's early morning, plainclothes.
And no knock.
No knock. According to her family's lawyers, the subject of the investigation was not Taylor, her boyfriend, but a man she had dated previously who had once sent a package to her apartment. When police broke in, Walker thought that they were being robbed, says Taylor's lawyers. A licensed gun owner, he grabbed his weapon and shot an officer in the leg. The officers returned fire, shooting dozens of times, killing Taylor. So, yeah, he had no idea that these were cops. These were plainclothes men coming into their home in the middle of the night. That's why. Because, when somebody says he shot at the cops, I'm like, well, why'd that happen? Well, because he didn't know they were cops. Anyway, go ahead.
And there's discrepancy there. The police seem to have thought that she's the one that did the shooting rather than him. Otherwise, he'd have been laying on the floor. So apparently, they misidentified the shooter. They thought she was the one with the gun, and they, of course, plastered her. Somehow they missed him. I don't even know how, because, normally when those crazy goons start shooting, they just shoot everything up, everything that's moving, including the dog and the parakeet. So,
well, thanks for sharing that, Gene. I appreciate you bringing that forward, and thank you as always for the call here tonight. And that's what I said in my recent story over at freekeene.com, which was about the protest that went on here in Keene yesterday. Massive numbers of people. I wrote up an opinion piece about that, hey, finally, average people are showing concern for police violence. It only took thousands of innocent bodies piled up over a myriad of years and countless millions of peaceful people arrested for victimless crimes for people to finally get mad enough to do something. So, I mean, it's better late than never.
I was saying my view on last night's show that if the policing is happening, that they don't know this guy. He doesn't know them. That's a major problem.
Mm-hmm.
And, show me one example where having a gun made you more safe versus the police. It's almost like when the police arrive, having a gun is actually making you less safe.
It can very well be a liability.
In that case, sure.
There's a time when, for instance, the protesters in Michigan who were they're armed in the state capitol, those people are probably protected by their guns, is my guess. But what you're saying is absolutely true. If the cops are called to a situation they claim is violent and a person, they see a gun, you're going down.
Greg, give me the bullet points on this story. We're short on time, but I think it's important headline. People need to know a little bit about this. What's going on with retailers?
Yeah, I'm just reading off this businessinsider.com. It's actually a real estate research firm called Datex Property Solutions. They did a study obtained by the Washington Post. More than half of America's retailers didn't pay their rent in April and May, as coronavirus closures decimated their revenues, including large retailers, Bed Bath & Beyond, Famous Footwear, H&M, The Gap, AMC, and Regal movie theaters, which, of course, are empty.
Yeah.
24-hour fitness gyms have all missed payments, jeopardizing the stability of their property management companies and municipal governments that rely on property taxes. So you could see the chain going up the chain, right? And that's where's the money coming from? And so I think I'm just going to say, and it's just my view, if everyone had a UBI and we weren't worried about universal basic income, and we weren't worried about people eating, then I think the place in the chain where you could actually, the landlords still have to pay to the mortgage brokers, but the people lending out the money at interest, they're the ones that pension funds are invested into, etc. If everyone has a UBI and they don't get their pension check, at least they can survive. It's the lenders that need to, I think, not collect for 3 months or whatever it is, because the landlords need to pay, the renters need to pay, everybody else needs to pay. That's my view, but that only works if everyone has a UBI. Otherwise, the grandma's not going to get the check from the pension fund, and so on.
Well, I would think that, currently, I think the way it is that many mortgage companies are allowing people to slide on their payments for
but they're still going to owe them.
Yeah, well,
right?
I mean, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And landlords are, in many cases, not collecting rent or giving rebates on rent and things like that.
I waived one of my renters' rent.
And that means that money's not coming back, right? No. So mortgage companies, they're just sliding back payments. So, landlords appear to be the ones who are taking it on the chin right now.
Well, my big question is what's going to happen when property taxes come due? How many people are going to default on property taxes? Because that's where all this ends.
That's where the government starts feeling the pinch.
Yeah.
Well, what governments should do is waive that percentage that they charge people for late payments on property taxes.
That's what some of them have talked about, but what will they actually do? What will it actually look like? Out of time for tonight. Check out more about Greg over at intercoin.org. That's his thing. And we'll see you tomorrow online in the meantime between now and then. Yes, we're back in Keene with more local shows here for Free Talk Live tomorrow.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power, but there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's Discord,
LRN.FM.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with the SNLS Network and listeners like you. Online at snlsnetwork.com. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,740, silver at $18.77, and Bitcoin is trading at $10,060. Today's gold, silver, and Bitcoin prices are brought to you by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven. The Liberty Beat and Brave Botanicals believe so strongly in the power of kratom, we're giving it away for free. Just go to libertybeat.news/free kratom. This is the Liberty Beat at snlsnetwork.com. In the news, the Kentucky National Guard fired live ammunition at a crowd while enforcing the recently imposed curfew in the very early hours of Monday morning, leaving at least one person dead. The Mind Unleashed reports the incident took place just after midnight, according to Louisville Metro Police Chief Steve Conrad, who said that the city's police were sent to a parking lot to break up a crowd along with the National Guard. The police and the National Guard claim they were shot at during the altercation, but they have given no proof to support those claims. Meanwhile, amid racial unrest across the nation, President Trump on Monday declared himself the president of law and order and threatened to deploy the United States military to American cities to quell a rise of violent protests. Earlier, he spoke to governors on a video teleconference with law enforcement and national security officials, telling the state leaders they have to get much tougher, criticizing their responses. Ever wonder where we find all the news to report right here on the Liberty Beat? Visit snls.news to get the world's most censored media published all in one place. Save yourself from the endless time spent searching for reliable alternative media. SNLS News makes it quick and easy. No ads, no clickbait, just raw headlines, 24 hours a day. Visit snls.news and get informed today without the corporate media spin. Your news now continues. George Floyd, who died after being choked by Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin last Monday, succumbed to asphyxiation as a result of Chauvin's actions. That's according to an independent autopsy ordered by his family. The Free Thought Project reports the findings of the autopsy, carried out by medical examiners Dr. Michael Baden and Dr. Alicia Wilson, differ from those of the Hennepin County, Minnesota medical examiner, who examined Floyd's body before Chauvin was charged with murder on Friday. Floyd's apparent murder shocked the